Soft breath. A slow river moves through a wide plain, carrying small stones, fallen leaves, and the cooling light of afternoon. It does not hurry. It follows the shape of the land, finding the path it can take with the least resistance. In this quiet movement, there is a kind of knowing. The water does not speak, yet it reveals how motion and rest can belong to the same mind. To follow the water is to notice how little effort is needed when one moves with the subtle patterns that are already present. A leaf loosens and descends in a gentle arc. It turns. It rests on the surface. It does not force its position. The surface accepts and cradles it, and the leaf continues to notice the small waves, the eddies that form and fade. There is a patient intelligence in this ease, a sense that doing and being are closely related. One can move without overspending strength. One can yield without losing purpose. This way of gentle yielding and persistent presence is like a quiet skill. Consider the uncarved wood. Untouched, it keeps many possibilities. It is simple and open. The grain holds a quiet readiness, not insisting on one form. In the same way, there is an ease that comes from remaining unadorned by sudden desires. When one stays close to a basic simplicity, the mind finds space to respond. The uncarved quality is not absence but openness. It is a patient reserve that can be shaped slowly, without force, into something useful. It is a calm that supports gentle change. Mountains stand through seasons, wearing soft hats of moss and lichen. Snow gathers and melts. Wind smooths roughness into gentle contours. Stones that were sharp become rounded over a long time. This slow softening teaches that firmness and gentleness are not opposites, but companions. Solid ground can be kind. Strength can be quiet. There is a quiet comfort in permanence that is not rigid, in persistence that allows small shifts. To be steady is also to be patient, to let small erosions form a new shape over many mornings. Night arrives like a pale curtain across the sky. Stars are steady lights, not loud. Their presence is calm, distant, and reliable. Looking at them is like listening to a slow rhythm. They do not command attention, yet they invite a gentle noticing. They ask nothing and give a steady map for those who move below. In the same way, certain truths are like steady lights. They are not flashy. They are not urgent. They offer guidance simply by being present, and one can follow them by attending with patience. A garden grows according to care that is quiet and regular, watering, pruning, letting space remain for roots to find and steady themselves. There is an art to not overworking, to not crowd, to let things find their proportion. The gardener learns to step back, to notice what needs gentleness and what needs more room. Each plant responds to touch and weather with small shifts. This attentive restraint forms a kind of wisdom, a way of helping that respects the nature of each living thing. Breathing in, breathing out, the chest rises and falls like gentle tides. Each breath is a small instruction in balance. Do not pull too hard. Do not hold on too long. Let the rhythm find its natural pace. There is a deep quiet that opens when breath is soft and measured. In this living rhythm, inner motions settle. Thoughts keep their distance. Like clouds crossing a wide sky, they do not demand an immediate reply. This simple steadiness is itself a practice of return and rest. Soft clouds gather and then slowly move apart, making room for light to pass. They change form with a delicate patience, never insisting on staying one way. The sky does not fight the weather. It contains it. This untroubled openness is like a mind that receives without clinging. Emotions pass through as clouds, as weather, and the wider space holds them. To allow feelings to move without forcing them to fix is a kind of centered calm. It is an understanding that motion does not have to turn into disturbance. Paths are worn not by force, but by repeated small steps. A single day changes little, but days collect, and the trail appears. Habit is a slow sculptor. Each small action, repeated, forms a groove. This is true of body and heart. Gentle practices repeated create a steady kind of skill. To be mindful of small choices is to shape a softer life. There is comfort in knowing that great changes begin with quiet repetition, that patience is a steady craftsman, making a path in time. A willow bends by a river and survives winds that push against it. Its flexibility keeps it alive. Harder trees that stay rigid may splinter. The willow's softness is a practical wisdom. It yields, it curves, it returns. Strength is not always about stiffness. Often it is the capacity to adapt, to accept the push, and yet find shape afterward. This capacity to yield and remain whole is a gentle mastery over the storm's impatience. Silence between sounds is as important as the sounds themselves. A bell rings, and then the echo fades into quiet. The moment of stillness lets the next sound have meaning. In conversation, in action, in thinking, pauses allow depth. They are not emptiness, but holding spaces where awareness can gather. The habit of steady pauses teaches restraint and clarity. It creates a rhythm where motion and rest alternate naturally, like tide and shore, like thought and silence. The moon moves through phases, appearing and disappearing in a long rotation. Its changes are soft and consistent, not abrupt. Observing the moon invites a gentle acceptance of cycles. Life unfolds in rhythms that include all kinds of change. Expecting steady brightness is often a source of tension. Instead, there is rest in knowing that darkness is part of a cycle and light will return. The moon's slow alternation models a calm confidence in recurring renewal. A cup of tea cools on a table, releasing faint steam into the air. Watching its vapor dissolve is a small practice of waiting. There is no hurry in cooling. Heat passes, flavor settles, and the cup becomes an offering of quiet. Sipping without haste, one can taste the subtle parts of flavor and time. Simple acts, attended slowly, open a richness that flits by if one rushes. The tea teaches that savoring is a gentle form of wisdom. Rituals can be soft patterns of attention. They give shape to ordinary moments without turning them into heavy demands. Lighting a small lamp, bowing gently, tending a space, arranging a few objects. Each act can be a mindful practice. The repetition of modest form anchors life. It reminds the heart of respect, not as obligation, but as a steady practice that brings presence. Rituals do not have to be ornate to be meaningful. Their quiet regularity moves like a slow current through daily time. On a quiet morning, fog rests low over fields. The world appears muted, and all edges are softened. In this gentle obscurity, forms feel less separate. There is a blending that invites a diffused attention. Clarity is not always sharp. Sometimes understanding grows from this softened view, where things are held within a gentle haze. From here, one learns to trust less obvious lines and to appreciate the way connection can be felt rather than only seen. A small stone warmed by sun, cool to the touch at dusk, knows the passage of hours. There is a simple dignity in objects that keep living through changing temperatures. They accept what comes without complaint. Observing such steadfastness invites a calm resilience. One notices how steady endurance is not dramatic, but quiet, like a long breath kept evenly through many mornings. This steadiness is a subtle strength that does not require boasting or show. The sound of distant water is steady and unintrusive. It does not demand focus, but it offers a steady backing, a bass rhythm that supports attention without commanding it. In the presence of such steady sound, the mind can slow. Thoughts align with the long flow of sound and begin to follow a softer timing. This is a useful place to rest, where the pulse of life is background rather than drama, where the small cadences of being are honored. A child watches a small insect move across a stone. The movement seems purposeful and yet unhurried. The child's gaze is patient. The insect finds its path without fuss. There is an innocence in this close watching, a quality of attention that does not rush to judge or to alter. To cultivate such observation is to let the world reveal its small operations. The gentle attentiveness of a simple watchful eye is a form of learning that needs no hurry. Grass bends under the weight of morning dew. Each blade carries tiny lights that tremble and then settle. These small jewels vanish as the sun rises, but their brief existence is complete in its time. Not everything needs to be preserved forever to be meaningful. Short presences have their own soft beauty. Appreciating the fleeting without clinging makes room for many small wonders, each passing in turn with dignity and grace. A soft song hummed at a low volume can shift a room. It moves like a thread, weaving calm through the air. The song does not attempt to dominate. It simply holds a tone that invites other feelings to ease. Music of this kind is like a warm hand on the shoulder. It encourages a slower posture and a gentler thought. Small melodic motions can guide the breathing, the heartbeat, and the pace of waking images. A bowl of rice placed with careful hands expresses respect in a simple act. Attention to small necessities honors the ordinary. In doing things well but without show, one maintains an inner order that does not need applause. The beauty of plain usefulness is that it is durable and unobtrusive. To keep this quiet competence is to accept a steady role in the flow of daily life, a role that supports others without seeking notice. Time moves in circles and spirals. A year returns to a similar place, but not exactly the same. Each return adds a new layer to what was before. Memory, like rings in a tree, grows inward and outward. There is a calming intelligence in recognizing this pattern. One can meet returning moments with a soft curiosity, seeing what has changed and what persists. This rhythmic return teaches patience and a gentle unfolding of understanding. Letters written by hand carry the pressure of the pen, the curve of the wrist, the pause before a single line. They are slow traces of a moment. When read later, they bring back a small quality of time that cannot be hurried. The slow practice of forming words by hand is a deliberate act. It reminds one that meaning deepens when attention lingers, when thought is allowed to take the time it needs to settle into form. A shadow lengthens as sun moves west. Shapes stretch and become softer. The world changes its contours with a steady mechanical grace. Each movement of light is simple, almost imperceptible, yet always present. Watching these small changes teaches a quiet patience. motion is rarely dramatic. Rather, it is a sequence of tiny differences that accumulate into something recognizable. Learning to follow these slow shifts opens a calm way to be present to time. The idea of balance is not a sharp line, but a gentle equilibrium. Too much leaning in one direction creates strain. Equal attention to many parts creates a soft center. Balance here means tender adjustment, small corrections made without haste. It is like a tightrope walker who moves minutely to maintain stillness. These tiny realignments do not make noise. They cultivate an evenness that makes space for rest. The sound of footsteps on old wood is thin and measured. Each step tells a history of previous use. There is comfort in worn things, in objects and places that have been attended over years. Wear is a quiet record of presence. It suggests that care has been given, not loudly, but consistently. This shared history between person and object makes a small, persistent continuity that soothes the heart. A candle burns low, its flame steady and gentle. The wax softens and pools, then cools into a new shape. There is a slow choreography between heat and form, and the small flame performs with steady grace. Watching a steady flame is like watching the mind hold thought with soft attention. It is not about controlling the flame, but about being present to its motion. The gentle light warms the nearby items and calms the space. Paths of friendship are formed by small acts that are repeated over time. A message sent, a visit made, a kindness given without expectation. These quiet gestures weave a fabric of connection. They do not demand immediate return, but slowly knit two lives together. In this gradual binding, trust grows like a root pushing down, unseen, until it stabilizes. The patient care of relationship is a gentle practice of shared presence. The feel of old paper between fingers carries quiet textures, smoothed by time. The small creases, the soft corners, the weight of memory make handling it a slow, reverent activity. This tactile attention helps settle the mind. Touch invites a different kind of knowing, one that does not rush to name or to fix meaning. To read slowly with hands and eyes is to let material and idea mingle in a calm way. Wind through a stand of bamboo makes a whispering sound. The stalks nod and chime in a pattern that is simple and continuous. This steady music is not meant to command. It accompanies a quiet pace. The bamboo does not resist wind, but uses it to make song. The lesson here is about using the energy around us to create harmony, not to fight it. Soft cooperation yields a more lasting music than harsh opposition. A slow walk at dusk lengthens thought into a soft rhythm. Each footfall is measured, each breath steady. The walker notices small details that are otherwise missed. The slow pace is not an avoidance of movement, but a way to inhabit each step more fully. It is a practice of letting life pass slowly through the senses, tasting small shifts of light and sound and texture without haste. The shape of a pot made by patient hands holds many small imperfections. These irregularities are not faults, but evidence of making. They remind us that perfection is not always the goal. The pot's usefulness and the quiet presence of human touch give it meaning. This acceptance of gentle flaw aligns with a calm way of seeing value, where usefulness and honesty matter more than a polished front. The edges of a field are soft, where the cultivated ends and the wild begins. Grasses intermingle with plants grown by intention. This blending creates a fringe that supports different life. The border is not a harsh wall, but a meeting space. In life, edges can be invitations to mix, rather than barriers to rigid separation. These gentle thresholds hold potential for balance and shared growth. A slow pen scratches a careful line, then pauses. The mind behind the line breathes, waits, chooses another simple stroke. The pause between marks is as meaningful as the ink. This measured intent is a practice of restraint and clarity. It allows each move to be clear without haste. The rhythm of small, deliberate actions creates a steady momentum that is calm and sure. Waterfalls fall, then settle into pools below. The initial rush is brief. The pool remains for a long time. Even dramatic motion yields to quiet holding. There is a lesson in how intense moments pass and leave. Behind places of stillness, the pool is deep and reflective, accepting the flow and then letting the surface smooth. This acceptance of the aftermath is part of a broader steadiness. A loom weaves its pattern slowly, thread by thread. Each crossing is small, but over time, a whole cloth appears. The weaver does not attempt to weave everything at once. The patience in each motion gathers into a coherent form. This slow assembling of detail into unity is a gentle practice in craftsmanship. It shows that coherence grows when attention is given to each small crossing, each tiny decision. Dew on spider silk hangs in precise tension between points. This delicate network holds small beads of light. The web is a careful balance of weight and weave, of giving and holding. It does not fight gravity, it uses it. This fragile yet clever structure suggests that resilience can be made from soft materials arranged with thoughtful attention. Strength need not be composed only of hardness. Slow letters exchanged by friends trace a history of presence. Each paragraph is a step toward understanding. The exchange is not urgent. It unfolds over days and weeks, giving room for reflections to settle. This rhythm of delayed reply can be a thoughtful cultivation of depth. It teaches how patience in communication can produce clarity and warmth that speed might not allow. A soft rain falls into a quiet courtyard, each drop making a small, distinct sound. The collection of these small sounds forms a steady pattern. The rain does not demand to change anything immediately. It simply nourishes and cools. Observing this steady giving reminds one that care is often humble and ongoing. Small acts of care, repeated, moisten the roots of life without spectacle. The pattern of breathing while seated under a tree is slow and integrated. Inhale, exhale. The body expands and softens. The tree's slow metabolism of light and air is another rhythm to match. Sitting with such steady, living presences teaches a calm patience. The steady exchange of breath between the inner and outer world creates a quiet mutuality that soothes and grounds. An old path through a forest is marked by small stones and dips in the earth. It is used by many feet, yet retains a humble form. The path does not announce itself loudly. It simply exists and guides those who move with attention. Following it requires gentle trust. There is comfort in paths worn by predecessors because they carry a shared rhythm of movement that can be followed with quiet ease. The taste of a simple meal eaten slowly becomes a quiet ritual. Each bite is noticed for texture, temperature, and taste. Eating in this way turns nourishment into a contemplative act. The pace allows digestion to sync with satisfaction. The meal becomes a slow conversation between body and food. a respectful exchange that grounds the mind and calms habitual hurry. A clock ticks softly in an otherwise hushed room, marking moments with modest precision. The ticks are not alarmist. They are small reminders that time moves. The sound is a steady companion, not a tyrant. In the presence of such measured marking, one learns to keep one's own rhythm gentle and regular. Time is not something to be crushed, but something to move with. The grain of a wooden table holds the memory of the tree's long growth. Rings and lines tell of seasons and weather. Interacting with such surfaces invites long perspective. The wood's history is slow and patient. Using objects that carry long histories connects the present with a broader flow. It invites a calm humility about one's place in time. A slow nod in agreement can communicate more than a hurried remark. The gesture is measured, sincere, and unassuming. It affirms without spectacle. Small, deliberate gestures of assent or care create a gentle fabric of social warmth. These quiet movements do not demand attention. They sustain relationships by steady presence rather than by loud performances. Leaves in autumn turn and fall with a soft inevitability. Their colors shift, and then they let themselves go. This letting go is a natural surrender that is not painful when accepted. It teaches that change often comes in stages, and that release can be part of a calm passage. The falling leaves teach us soft courage in making room for new growth. A slow smile can ease a tense moment without words. It is a small opening, a tiny light that invites reciprocation. Smiles of this kind are not dramatic, but sincere. They contain a quiet friendliness that lowers the volume of worry. In simple human exchanges, the soft offerings matter more than grand declarations. The texture of the earth under bare feet is cool and real. Each step connects skin with living soil. The body remembers its weight and its lightness. Grounding in this way is a simple practice that restores calm. It helps align the inner pace with the steadiness of the world. Feet on earth bring a natural measure to movement that the mind can follow. A bell rung at a distance fades slowly into the landscape. Its tone leaves an afterimage in the ears, a soft echo. The fading is part of the experience, just as the initial strike was. Sound that ebbs invites attention to the way impressions soften with time. The diminishing is not loss, but a transformation into memory. A simple garment, mended and worn, carries the traces of care. The stitches are not hidden, but visible, part of its beauty. Such visible mending honors the history of use and the willingness to tend. It is a modest celebration of continuity. To tend the things around us slowly is to acknowledge their role in our life and to participate in a steady relationship with care. The hush of early morning before activity begins is a tender space. The world waits with a soft inhale. Within that brief hush, possibilities are not forced. There is room for gentle intention. This liminal time is like a soft seam between night and day, a thin, untroubled interval where small choices can be shaped calmly before motion resumes. A simple lamp left burning through dusk becomes a modest guardian. Its light is a steady presence that does not demand action. It watches over a corner and keeps it warm. Such steady, low light can be a companion to slow thought. It offers a quiet condition in which ease can find a gentle foothold. Leaves and soil, rain and sun, small motions and long cycles. These simple movements loop and braid together in a steady pattern, each element supports the others with no rush. The slow interweaving of small forces becomes a landscape of calm continuity. In following these quiet patterns, one finds a rhythm that is not loud but deeply sure. A single breath, repeated and watched with mild attention, becomes a steady path. The inhale and exhale are like two small companions. They accompany thought without pressing it. Returning to this breath again and again is a small, unassuming discipline. It is quiet work that accumulates into a calm capacity to remain steady in the face of passing weather. There is a quiet sense to the way one observes the world, like watching water move over a stone until the stone knows its touch. Thoughts settle into a slow current. The current carries attention gently, not against the grain. One notices how small decisions mirror larger patterns, how a single breath can match the rhythm of distant tides. An unhurried mind meets each moment without forcing it. Each movement unfolds in time, like the opening of a song played very softly. There is space between one thought and the next. In that space, a kind of listening takes place. Listening that does not demand answers, but allows answers to arrive as naturally as dawn. A deep stillness moves through small actions, shaping them with a quiet dignity. Walking becomes a kind of thinking, and thinking becomes a kind of walking. Hands resting on a wooden table can teach patience. The texture of the wood, the grain, and the coolness remind the senses to soften. When intention is light, outcomes are clear. There is no need for force. A steady, unpressured attention allows things to unfold according to their nature. And in that unfolding, one finds harmony. The ease of matching one's pace to the pace of things is itself a practice, refined by repetition and gentle observance. There is an art to simplicity, a careful removal of excess until what remains is true. Simplicity does not mean absence of care. It means keeping only what matters. Like pruning a branch so the tree grows more evenly. A clear life often resembles a calm garden where each plant has space to breathe and grow. In such a garden, routines are soft and dependable. Habits become slow ornaments, not noisy decorations. The mind learns to value what is steady and to let go of what distracts. In that letting go, the heart makes room for sincere attention and small delights that otherwise slip by unnoticed. Balance appears as a gentle counterweight, quietly correcting extremes. When one leans too much one way, the other side rises to meet it, like the body righting itself after a lurch. Balance is not static. It is an ongoing conversation between parts of life that sometimes pull in different directions. To maintain balance is to practice responsiveness rather than rigidity. One adjusts breath, posture, and thought with small, deliberate shifts. Over time, these small shifts become an embodied wisdom. A life practiced in this way moves with resilience and a calm steadiness, like a river navigating stones with both patience and purpose. The nature of change is ever present, like a slow turning of the seasons. Nothing stands exactly still. Leaves bud and fall in patterns that repeat, but never quite the same. Understanding change reduces resistance to it. There is a freedom in recognizing that each moment is singular, that each experience passes gently into the next. With that recognition comes a soft acceptance, not cold resignation. It is acceptance that allows one to move, to respond, to participate in life's unfolding without clinging. This acceptance is practiced through small acts of attention, by allowing thoughts and feelings to arise and pass without unnecessary interference. Cultivation of character is a patient work, like tending to a field over many seasons. One does not hurry growth, one instead prepares the soil and pays attention to small signs. A kind word, repeated kindness, a gesture of care, these are seeds. They are tended by consistency rather than flash. Over time, the soil of habit holds a different crop. The inner landscape becomes more fertile for quiet virtues to take root. Character develops through simple choices repeated, chosen without drama. In the repetition, one learns subtlety and restraint. The result is a life that gently informs itself, shaped by daily practice and the soft guidance of quiet principles. Humility is like a low hill, unobtrusive and steady in the landscape. It does not call attention. It supports others without asserting itself. Humility allows one to learn from ordinary things: a child's curiosity, a potter's care, the way wind eases through tall grass. When the heart is humble, it is open to correction and fresh insight. The presence of humility makes conversation lighter, listening deeper. Without the need to dominate, a person becomes receptive to subtle teachings present in the ordinary world. In that receptivity, wisdom grows slowly, like moss along a shaded stone, unobtrusive and persistent. There is a tenderness in restraint, a willingness to let go of immediate advantage for the sake of long steadiness. Restraint is a quiet muscle, exercised by choosing ease over force, silence over unnecessary speech, and patience over impulse. It is not a denial of life's richness. Rather, it is an orientation that values continuity. When restraint is practiced, energy is preserved and used with intention. Actions become measured and precise. The mind notices this economy of effort. It is a calming discovery to find that less pushing often creates more space for what truly matters. The long view replaces the short, and rhythms slow to a pace that soothes. The practice of respectful ritual is a way to orient attention to what matters, like a bell that marks the hour and brings people back to a central place. Rituals can be small and private: a morning act of lining up a cup, a deliberate breath before speaking. Such acts are not empty repetition. They are reminders to center. Through gentle repetition, a ritual teaches continuity and respect. It slows the rush of ordinary life and creates pockets of clarity. These pockets are not separate from living. They seep into it, shaping how one approaches tasks and relationships. Ritual becomes a soft architecture for daily life, supporting steady habits and mindful presence. Listening is an art that often begins with silence. To listen well, one must allow silence to be a space where meaning may arise. True listening is not planning a response. It is remaining attentive, allowing the other's words to resonate without interruption. In such listening, one discovers subtleties that hurried thought misses. The world reveals itself in layers, like the soft light that deepens as the sun settles. Listening in this way is a practice of humility and patience. It invites a calm understanding that is more felt than argued, and it brings a gentleness to interaction that soothes both speaker and listener. Compassion grows in the quiet recognition of shared fragility. To see another's smallness without judgment is to create a refuge. Compassion does not demand heroics. It begins with small gestures that acknowledge suffering and ease it in modest ways. A hand offered, an attentive presence, the holding of space for someone's pain. These are the seeds of compassion. In time, compassion becomes a steady current that informs choices and softens harsh edges. It turns attention outward in a way that does not erase one's own needs, but rebalances them in light of common humanity. The mind finds clarity when clutter is reduced, like a window wiped of dust. Clarity is not an absence of thought, but a clarity of purpose and perception. When distractions are set aside, one sees the immediate shape of things more clearly. Decisions become simpler when guided by a steady center. There is a relief in trimming what is unnecessary and returning to essentials. This economy of focus conserves energy and reduces agitation. A clear mind is more receptive, more flexible, and more content with slow progress. Clarity is cultivated by steady practice, by simplifying routine, and by honoring the limits of attention. A sense of proportion keeps desires from swelling into restless hunger. Proportion is an inner measure that asks whether one's wants match the realities of life. It is a gentle correction, a soft hand that guides choices toward moderation. Living with proportion means valuing sufficiency over excess. It brings an ease to daily life, a relief from constant striving. The world itself seems kinder when one's appetite is measured. Movements become calm, and choices are made with a long view. Over time, proportion reshapes priorities, making room for more stillness, more ease, and more presence. Wisdom often arrives as small perceptions, not as sudden revelations. It is the accumulation of attentive moments, the slow bending toward truth. An insight may come while washing a bowl, while walking on a damp path, or while resting in the sun. These moments are unadorned and ordinary. Their simplicity is what makes them durable. Wisdom formed in this way is practical. It helps one respond more gracefully to life's small challenges. It is not a trophy, but a quiet companion that steadies choices and moves one gently toward balance and compassion. There is a quality of softness that supports strength, like a bamboo bending but not breaking. Softness does not equal weakness. It is a strategic yielding that preserves integrity. When one meets force with softness, the force often dissipates. This is an ancient observation that finds life in small interactions and larger decisions. Softness allows space for adaptation, for creative response. It teaches that strength and gentleness can coexist, and that the most durable forms are often those that can move with subtlety rather than resist rigidly. The recognition of limits quietly frees one from endless pursuit. A limit is not necessarily a barrier. It is a guide for appropriate effort. Knowing one's limits allows thoughtful allocation of time and energy. It encourages rest and renewal. In the acceptance of limitation, there is a softness that opens the way for deeper ability. The mind that honors limits becomes steady, less prone to overwhelm. Life becomes a series of manageable tasks, each done with attention, each folded into a larger continuity of presence. This acceptance nurtures patience and reduces needless friction. Being present to small duties cultivates trustworthiness. Trust grows from reliable attention paid consistently to small things. Keeping a promise, answering a call, tending a responsibility, these acts are the slow building blocks of a trustworthy life. Trustworthiness is not loud. It is quiet and consistent. It produces calm in relationships, allowing people to rest in predictable kindness. Over time, a life built on reliability creates a network of gentle steadiness. The small duty becomes a quiet discipline that informs larger commitments and nurtures mutual care. Reflection is a gentle turning inward, like looking at the reflection of the moon in still water. It requires patience and absence of hurry. In reflective moments, one discerns patterns and adjusts small habits. Reflection is not self-criticism. It is a gentle survey of one's inner terrain, taken without harshness. One notices which practices bring ease, which thoughts create distress, and then gently adjusts course. This careful attention is a practice of love toward oneself. It keeps life aligned with values and brings greater clarity to daily choices. Reflection becomes a soft habit, visited frequently and without judgment. The practice of small renunciations brings a surprising ease. Letting go of unnecessary possessions, unnecessary tasks, and excess worry creates lightness. Small renunciations are not about deprivation. They are about clarifying priorities and simplifying life. Each relinquishment is a quiet adjustment that opens space for presence and rest. The cumulative effect of these adjustments is a gentler daily pace. Life becomes less crowded by impulse and more shaped by intentional, slow choices. In that space, one finds time for quiet reading, for attentive sleep, for watching a small bird perch and leave without hurry. There is a kind of right timing to actions, a rhythm that aligns with a natural flow. Timing is not urgent, it is attentive. One learns to wait when waiting serves the larger good, and to act when action brings harmony. This sense of timing develops from practice and observation. It calls for patience and perceptive listening. When timing is learned, interference decreases, efforts meet less resistance, because they are offered in tune with the moment's potential. The gentle art of timing reduces wasted movement and fosters a graceful continuity of life. Trust in slow learning is a quiet faith in unfolding. Skills deepen through repeated patient practice. Mastery is not a sudden appearance, but a long, patient refining. Each small improvement accumulates into a new ease. This trust reduces anxiety about immediate achievement. It anchors one in the knowledge that steady attention yields growth. There is a comfort in small progress, in the steady accrual of understanding. The learner becomes attentive to subtle feedback and adjusts without shame. This steady path cultivates humility and an ongoing curiosity about the details of life. The nature of desire is to shift like wind. When one watches desire without being swept by it, it loses some of its urgency. Desire can be an indicator rather than a dictator. Watching desire calmly reveals its patterns and underlying needs. Sometimes desire points to genuine care, sometimes to simple distraction. Observing desire with a soft mind allows more skillful responses. One may satisfy genuine need with balanced action and let passing cravings dissolve without harm. This practice reduces the restless energy that often attends unchecked wanting, transforming it into a gentler, more considered movement. Sincere speech carries weight in quiet interactions. Words spoken softly and truthfully fit into the gentle current of attentive life. Sincere speech does not need to impress. It needs only to be accurate and kind. The practice of careful language cultivates clarity and reduces misunderstanding. Speaking with measured intention makes listening more likely. The combination of sincere speech and attentive listening supports relationships that are steady and nourishing. Over time, a practice of this sort creates a field of trust and an ease that quiets anxious reactivity. Observation of contradictions without urgency reveals deeper harmony. When apparent opposites are seen together, their tension often softens. Light and shadow define a form. Each relies on the other for context. Accepting that contradictions may coexist reduces the need for quick resolution. A calm mind holds complexity without immediate simplification. This ability to sit with paradox encourages subtle insights. It becomes easier to find ways in which opposing tendencies can be held in balance, like hands cupping water without crushing it. In that balance, understanding deepens gently. The pace of learning through stories is soft and enduring. Stories invite the imagination to rest and to engage without strain. Simple images, a traveler on a quiet road, a teacher beside a small stream, hold lessons that unfold slowly. These narratives do not demand instant comprehension. They offer a landscape in which meaning can be discovered over time. Stories practiced in this way become companions on a long path, returning with new subtleties each time they are revisited. Their repetition becomes a form of cultivation, revealing deeper layers of insight as attention matures. Observation of natural cycles offers a steady mirror for human life. The moon waxes and wanes. Plants push toward light and then retreat. These cycles teach patience and continuity. By aligning with natural rhythms, one learns when to act and when to rest. The world itself demonstrates timing and return. Observing these rhythms helps soften urgency and fosters a sense of flow. In time, a life that honors cycles moves with a calm assurance, recognizing the need for both activity and repose as complementary expressions of a single whole. A gentle curiosity about small things opens doors to quiet discovery. Curiosity does not have to be loud or insistent. It can be a soft tilt of attention toward the shape of a leaf, the sound of rain, the curve of a sentence. These small observances build an inner repository of detail and nuance. This store of subtle knowledge deepens perception and enriches conversation with the world. Curiosity practiced calmly avoids the trap of distraction. It becomes a steady inclination to notice and remember, enhancing the quality of daily life. Gratitude may be practiced in simple ways, such as pausing to notice a warm cup, a stable chair, the breath that comes without effort. These small acknowledgments become a steady current that quiets complaint and invites contentment. Gratitude is not a forced cheerfulness. It is a mindful recognition of support and kindness, often overlooked. By noticing the ordinary sources of comfort, one cultivates an inner steadiness. Gratitude transforms small things into anchors of appreciation, slowing the rush toward dissatisfaction and inviting a softer gaze upon life's modest gifts. The discipline of returning attention is a gentle training of the mind. Distraction is inevitable, but the practice is in bringing the mind back without shame. Each return is itself a quiet accomplishment. Over time, the frequency of returns strengthens the capacity for sustained attention. This repeated, unadorned effort produces a calm confidence. One learns to regard distraction as a wave that passes rather than a fault. The mind becomes steady through patient repetition, and attention acquires a quiet persistence that supports all other practices. In the observation of modest ambition, one finds a peace that does not require outward acclaim. Modest ambition seeks competence and contribution rather than applause. It values the quality of action and the alignment with simple principles. This form of ambition cultivates steady progress without restlessness. It allows for satisfaction in work done well, without constant comparison. The inner life steadied in this way is less vulnerable to external tides. It rests on a quiet standard of excellence that is both practical and generous. A measured approach to correction preserves dignity and fosters learning. When errors occur, gentle correction guides without shaming. This method encourages candid self-examination and gradual improvement. Soft correction attends to the underlying causes of error, not merely the surface result. It cultivates trust and openness, allowing lessons to be integrated without fear. Over time, this approach shapes a culture of growth rather than punishment, where mistakes become occasions for learning and refinement. The practice of solitude, held gently and without drama, refreshes attention. Solitude is not isolation, but a deliberate turning inward to recharge. In quiet solitude, one can listen more closely to inner rhythms and to the subtle promptings of conscience. It provides room for reflection and a chance to renew commitments to simple practices. Solitude, practiced with balance, supports empathy and engagement. It is a soft discipline that replenishes presence and deepens understanding of both self and others. A life cultivated through quiet practices tends toward coherence. Coherence means that actions, speech, and thought align in a simple way. There is no need for bravado. Actions follow intention, and intentions are informed by steady principles. This coherence is soothing because it reduces internal friction. Decisions feel more natural, and relationships become more predictable in their kindness. The soul rests in a rhythm where outer life and inner life are in modest accord. In the repetition of gentle acts, there is an invisible formation of habit that holds like a subtle frame. Habit is not merely mechanical. It can be a wise ally when crafted with attention. By choosing small, daily acts that align with deeper values, one builds a supportive structure that simplifies choices. Over time, these habits shape the quality of life, making it possible to move through the world with less inner conflict and more quiet purpose. The steady repetition of small, considered acts creates a life that breathes slowly and evenly. Care for the present moment becomes a primary practice, like tending a small flame that warms without consuming. Attention to what is immediate refines perception and clarifies action. This care is expressed through simple activities done fully: preparing a meal, folding cloth, listening to a friend. Each of these tasks, when performed with attention, transforms into an offering. The present becomes a place of work and rest, where small acts create an environment of calm. In such an environment, insight deepens and life moves with the soft dignity of a measured step. Learning to accept the incompleteness of understanding softens the pressure to know it all. The mind that accepts partial understanding becomes patient with itself and others. It recognizes that most things reveal themselves slowly, and that depth often requires repeated visits. This acceptance reduces anxiety and cultivates curiosity. One becomes willing to live with questions, knowing that careful attention over time will bring clearer sight. There is a calm in acknowledging that understanding is a path rather than a finished map. The unfolding of practice is like watching sap rise in spring, a slow and steady ascent that eventually becomes visible in leaves and blooms. There is no sudden transformation demanded. Growth is gradual and requires the mild weather of continued attention. Each small practice supports the next. Over time, What began as a single quiet habit becomes a network of practices that sustain a gentler life. This accumulation is silent and steady. It is the ordinary unfolding that bears fruit in subtle ways, not in a dazzling moment, but in ongoing presence and quiet capacity. A tranquil appreciation of small beauty steadies the heart. Beauty need not be grand. It can be the curve of a teacup, the sound of a page turning, the slope of light across a table. Finding beauty in ordinary things opens a pathway to gratitude and calm. This appreciation does not separate one from the world. It integrates one more fully into the texture of everyday life. By attending to small beauty, the mind learns to move more slowly and with greater care, enjoying details that otherwise blur past in haste. Gentle adaptability is the skill of meeting the unexpected without losing balance. Adaptability is not frantic change. It is a measured shifting of posture in response to new conditions. Like a reed that bends when wind comes, adaptability preserves continuity by yielding where necessary. This capacity is nurtured by small adjustments, by listening, and by remaining calm in the face of novelty. Over time, adaptability becomes a reliable feature of character, allowing one to move through shifting circumstances with dignity and composure. The presence of a steady heart turns ordinary actions into quiet offerings. Each simple gesture, when done with care, becomes meaningful. Making tea, sweeping a floor, sitting in patient company. These acts gain weight when performed with attention. The steady heart does not seek accolade. It seeks to infuse daily life with quiet integrity. Over time, that integrity becomes palpable, like a low hum beneath ordinary speech. It reassures others and provides a stable ground for gentle living. Continuing in this way, attention deepens and life unfolds slowly into a pattern of calm. The small practices compound, supporting one another in quiet ways that are both durable and unobtrusive. The path is not marked by grand events, but by steady, attentive moments that accumulate into a life of gentle clarity. There is no rush, only a soft persistence, an ongoing cultivating of ease and presence that carries one forward with quiet assurance. Water moves without hurry. It finds the path of least resistance, not by thought, but by its nature. In quiet moments, the mind can learn from that movement. There is a steady patience in flowing water, a softness that does not resist stones, that slips around obstacles and shapes the landscape over long seasons. The gentleness of water is not weakness. It is a subtle strength that yields and yet endures, that cools and cleans and fills the empty spaces. When one follows this rhythm, actions become less forced and more fitting. The pace is slow, like a distant river under moonlight, and the heart feels the ease of simply being where it belongs. A wise way of living values such ease. It values the unlabored response, the step taken because it is natural rather than strained. This way invites attention to what matters most, without haste. One learns to notice the small openings that appear when tension softens, the new alignments that come from slight adjustments. A gentle hand achieves what a clenched fist cannot. Act in accordance with the moment, and the moment carries the deed forward. There is no need to push the world into shape. Instead, one listens and moves in harmony with the unfolding. Softness often has clarity. A reed bending in the wind knows precisely how much to yield and when to rise again. That simple responsiveness shows a kind of wisdom that prefers balance to force. In such balance, neither extreme dominates. The land and the sky converse in quiet measures, and the hills answer the clouds without words. This balance is not static. It breathes, it alternates, it returns. Each breath is an exchange where giving and receiving are indistinguishable. In these exchanges, life continues in a gentle, unspoken rhythm. Simplicity is another quiet teacher. A life uncluttered by pretension allows senses to soften and to perceive what is essential. When one drops the heavy demands of showing and proving, there is space for true learning. The mind becomes like a clear pool where reflections are accurate and unbroken. In that clarity, small details become visible: the slight curve of a branch, the sound of distant rain, the warmth of a shared breath. Simplicity does not mean inactivity. It means choosing fewer things with more care, letting each act be whole and attentive. Attention, when calm, has a depth that hurried noticing lacks. To attend slowly is to watch the gradual changing of seasons within a single cloud, to feel the shift of mood like a current beneath the surface. Such attention is quiet and patient. It is not a searching, it is a readiness to receive. Over time, this readiness becomes a steady companion, guiding choices with a gentle steadiness. The world ceases to be a series of frantic tasks and becomes instead a field of quiet possibilities, each unfolding in its own time. The idea of balance extends into human relations as well. Conversation that is measured allows each voice space to settle. Listening becomes an act of care, not merely preparation for reply. In the pause between words, meanings can deepen and trust can grow. Respect for another's pace honors the shared life, and small courtesies become the foundation of lasting harmony. There is a dignity in mutual regard, a soft architecture of behavior that supports connection without strain. Relationships that move with this rhythm feel easier, as if two paths gently align. Ritual, in its quiet forms, helps steady the day. The simple acts performed with attention: pouring tea, lighting a candle, bowing to the threshold, mark time without hurry. They are small anchors that return the mind to presence. Ritual need not be ornate to be meaningful. Its value lies in deliberate repetition that is gentle and unforced. Each small motion calls the senses back to now, and in that return, the heart finds a familiar harbor. The ordinary becomes the sacred when handled with calm awareness. Virtue, considered slowly, is less a fixed list and more a shaping of character over time. Cultivation is an ongoing affair, like tending a garden. Seeds require warmth, water, and quiet. They do not respond to shouting or to frantic digging. In the same way, qualities like kindness, patience, and integrity are nourished by consistent, gentle practice. Missteps are part of the process. They are not failures, but opportunities to return, to correct the angle of effort, to deepen understanding. Over seasons, the small daily choices form a life that is stable and soft. The sage in these teachings is not a distant ideal, but a presence in ordinary life. He or she moves with a light step and listens with an open chest. The sage makes fewer claims and keeps fewer possessions. In daily acts, the sage practices restraint and generosity in equal measure. There is a calm confidence in such a life, not loud or showy, but steady as a lamp in a quiet room. Others are drawn to this steadiness because it is unhurried and reliable. A steady heart holds space for others without consuming them. Change is continual and natural. The seasons move through their courses and life follows their rhythm. Rather than opposing change, one may learn to accompany it. This accompaniment is not passive surrender, but a skillful responsiveness. Like the hand that adjusts the sail to the wind, one makes small, timely corrections that keep the course true. There is an art to moving with change. It requires attention, modesty, and a willingness to let plans be reshaped. The mind that embraces this art moves with less friction and more ease. The image of the empty bowl is often used to suggest openness. An empty bowl receives warmth more readily than one cluttered with objects. Emptiness here is not mere absence. It is readiness to receive what is needed. When the mind is emptied of hurry and excess, it can hold new lessons without being crowded. This kind of emptiness allows wisdom to enter in light and gentle ways. It creates space for quiet insight to arise and settle, like a leaf floating on still water. Humility is another quiet virtue. To accept that the world is larger than personal will is to relieve oneself of unnecessary strain. Humility does not deny ability. It simply recognizes limits and learns from what is beyond them. There is a lightness to this recognition. It frees one from the burden of always being right and opens the possibility of true learning. When humility is present, conversations become less about defending an identity and more about exploring living truth together. Soft authority relies on moral presence rather than force. A person who governs with gentleness gains trust through consistent fairness and measured speech. Such authority does not seek to dominate, it seeks to align. People follow less out of fear and more out of respect for the steady example set before them. Rules matter, but their power is doubled when accompanied by compassionate understanding. Leadership, then, is an art of guiding with proportion, like a gardener shaping a grove over decades with patience. The interplay of opposites is a constant motif. Light and dark, activity and rest, speech and silence. Each calls the other into being. Harmony arises when these contrasts are held in a flexible balance. Rather than forcing one domain to rule the other, the wise person allows both to perform their roles. Like a musician who knows when to let the violin sing and when to let the flute rest, life moves with rhythms that include pauses as much as notes. This musical sense of balance soothes the mind and steadies the pulse. Attention to nature's subtle cycles supports inner equilibrium. The phases of the moon, the slow unfurling of leaves, the migration of birds, all remind us of rhythms that exceed individual control. When one aligns personal routines with these larger movements, life feels less frantic. There is comfort in being part of a broader pattern. Daily choices can reflect the season's call. A lighter diet in summer, more inward time in winter, slow walks in autumn. Such small adjustments keep the self in tune with the world. Language used slowly carries weight and clarity. Words spoken without rush have a way of landing softly. Short sentences, gentle tones, and the measured cadence of speech can soothe restless thought. In conversations, pause becomes as important as expression. A pause holds meaning and invites attention. It allows both speaker and listener to rest and to register the subtle currents of feeling and thought that might otherwise pass unnoticed. Contemplation often begins with small, ordinary things: the texture of a leaf, the breath's rise and fall, the steady tick of a distant clock. These are gateways to deeper stillness. By focusing on simple details, the mind settles into a quieter tempo. Over time, this quiet reveals patterns beneath the surface of everyday life. One may notice the recurrent kindness of a neighbor or the slow resilience of a city street after rain. Such observations, held without hurry, build a gentle wisdom that is practical and calm. Ethics in a slow life tend toward moderation. Excess is understood to fray the fabric of well-being. Moderation invites a measured approach to desire and consumption. Food is savored, work is paced, and rest is valued as much as action. This balance protects the self from extremes that lead to exhaustion or distress. A moderate life does not deny pleasure. It simply places pleasures within a context that preserves long-term ease. Teaching by example is a subtle, powerful method. When one embodies a calm attitude and measured action, others learn without being lectured. Children and peers watch the quiet rhythms and begin to imitate them because they feel approachable and real. The visible calm of a life is an unspoken lesson that spreads in small, unexpected ways. It is not brittle or showy. It is steady and enduring, like a soft lantern guiding the way on a misty evening. The mind's wandering can be met with gentle redirection. When thought drifts into worry or restlessness, the remedy is simple. Bring attention back to the present, to the breath, to a single sensation. This is not a harsh correction. It is a kind repositioning, like guiding a small boat back to the river's current. Over time, the mind learns to return more readily. The practice is patient and forgiving, and each gentle return deepens the quiet. Observation of small acts of care reveals a deep current of moral wisdom. A neighbor sweeping a stoop, a child offering a toy, an elder tying a bundle with practiced hands. Such moments are ordinary and profound. They show that ethical life is woven from countless small gestures. When these gestures are performed with attention, they have a cumulative effect that steadies communities. Small kindnesses add up to a durable kindness in the world. Patience becomes an art when practiced calmly. Waiting is not passive. It is the poised readiness that accompanies attentive presence. In patient waiting, there is no anxiety, only an openness to time's unfolding. This attitude transforms moments of pause into creative rest. A patient mind makes fewer mistakes and enjoys clearer perception. Life thus proceeds with fewer urgencies and more thoughtful responses. The notion of skillful means suggests adapting methods to circumstances. Like a craftsman who chooses a different tool for each task, a flexible heart chooses methods that fit the need. This flexibility is not fickle. It rests on a clear understanding of principles and a calm assessment of situations. By acting with discernment rather than rigid rules, one responds effectively and gently. The effect is an attunement to reality rather than a stubborn imposition upon it. Memory held without clinging, supports wisdom. Recalling past lessons can guide present action, but clinging to regrets or triumphs distorts the present. A steady mind keeps memories as maps, not prisons. It learns from what has been and adapts in light of what is. This gentle approach to memory frees the heart to act more appropriately in each new moment. Compassion arises naturally from a calm inquiry into suffering. When attention rests on another's experience without hurry, understanding grows. Compassion does not require dramatic gestures. Often, a quiet presence or a small offer of aid is more meaningful than grand speeches. The simple act of witnessing someone's pain with an open heart softens the weight of that pain and strengthens connection. Compassion practiced in small ways creates a vast field of care. Purpose need not be loud to be sincere. A modest aim, pursued steadily, has its own dignity. Small, persistent efforts accumulate into meaningful change. The long arc of patient work is often more effective than sudden brilliance. Purpose, tempered by humility, resists the temptation of grandiosity and instead prefers faithful attention to daily tasks. In such pursuit, life gains a steady rhythm that is both satisfying and restful. Discerning when to act and when to refrain is a central skill. Silence is often as powerful as speech. Stillness can be more persuasive than motion. Deciding between these alternatives benefits from a calm center that is not swayed by panic. The choice to rest or to move should be made with a measured heart, attentive to circumstance and proportion. This measured discernment brings clarity and reduces the need for corrective measures. Learning to live lightly on the earth is part of a gentle philosophy. Small acts of care for the environment, picking up a fallen branch, conserving water, tending a plant, reflect a respect for shared spaces. These habits are unflashy, but effective. They sustain life and model a respectful stance toward the larger world. A quiet commitment to such practices cultivates a slow generosity that supports future days. Thoughtful speech heals more often than it harms. Words chosen with care avoid unnecessary harm and can soothe troubled feelings. Speaking less and listening more creates a safe field for others to be heard. When speech arises, let it be kind, true, and necessary. Such speech is rare and precious in a rushed world. It carries a calm authority that invites reflection rather than reaction. Cultivation of inner steadiness aligns one with the rhythms of life. Regular, gentle practices, breathing, walking, simple reflection, anchor the mind. These practices do not promise sudden transformation. Instead, they offer gradual shaping. Over months and years, the steady application of small practices alters inclinations, making calmness more habitual and ease more familiar. This slow cultivation yields a life that moves with grace. Subtlety in thought and action respects the complexity of things. Many situations resist blunt solutions and need delicate handling. Subtle approaches are patient and observant, waiting for the right moment to act. They see the hidden interconnections and respond in ways that preserve harmony. In the long view, subtlety prevents ruptures and fosters continuity. It is the art of tending without breaking. Trust grows in steady ways. When behaviors are consistent and kind, Trust accumulates like soft moss on stones. It need not be forced. It appears naturally where actions align with words and promises are gentle and kept. Trust enables deeper cooperation and reduces the need for constant supervision. It is fragile but resilient when nurtured by small, repeated acts of reliability. Reflection, slow and patient, reveals patterns that hurriedness conceals. By taking time to look back quietly, one sees the gentle causes of previous outcomes. These insights inform future choices without harsh judgment. Reflection is a compassionate rereading of experience. It allows subtle correction and encourages continued practice. Over time, this reflective habit becomes a soft compass for living. Attention to the body complements attention to the mind. Simple awareness of posture, breath, and movement grounds thought. When the body is treated kindly, rested, nourished, moved in gentle ways, the mind follows with steadier clarity. This integrated care is not a luxury, but a foundational support for calm living. Small, consistent bodily habits build a steady base for the heart and mind to rest upon. The mind rests like water in a quiet bowl. Thoughts slide across its surface and settle toward the center. In that calm, there is a gentle sense of ease. Each idea arrives slowly, touches briefly, and then drifts away. The pace remains steady. Breath moves like a soft tide. The notion of balance appears not as a demand, but as a simple shape. It asks only to be noticed. The edges of concern blur. In that blur, an old idea grows quiet and clear, like the outline of a distant mountain seen through morning haze. The mountain does not hurry. It is patient, and its patience is not empty. It is complete in itself, a stillness that invites a measured step, one that matches the rhythm of a long, even breath. There is a sense of natural unfolding, as if the world arranges itself in small, kind ways. Action and non-action move together, braided like fine threads. One thread is soft effort, a hand guiding a young plant. The other is receptive rest, soil receiving rain. Neither demands more than the circumstance requires. Neither resists what is given. This woven movement becomes a gentle lesson. It reminds the listener to allow things to find their form, to act with care when needed, and to step back when care requires space. The cadence here is slow, and every gesture is measured by quiet attention. Consider the way water finds its path. It does not force a route through rock. It yields, following grooves and curves, until those grooves become familiar. Over time, water shapes stone without the strain of anger or the hurry of impatience. There is a soft, persistent molding that happens when force is tempered by yielding. The comparison is not a command, but a reflection. It suggests a way of proceeding that is both steady and unhurried. Gentle persistence, rather than frantic motion, becomes the means by which change is made. The river does not race the land, and the land does not resist the river. Their movement together is calm and inevitable. In silent gardens, rituals exist like slow breathing. Each small act holds its own quiet meaning. Bowing, pouring tea, sweeping a path. These are not spectacles. They are careful alignments of body and mind. Through them, attention returns to a single point, and that return becomes practice. The point is not to achieve an external result quickly. The point is to attune, to steady the hand and steady the heart. When gestures are performed with soft intention, they create a field of gentle order. Within that order, ordinary time stretches longer and softer. Each moment is given room to be itself, like a flower that opens slowly under dawn light. There is a quality of ethical care that grows from small, steady choices. Kindness is not always grand. It often appears in a patient listening, an unobtrusive aid, a warm look that does not demand recognition. These small acts accumulate like pebbles in a shallow stream. They do not shout, but they contribute to a clearer flow. As clarity increases, the mind feels less scattered. The heart feels less occupied by the need to guard itself. Instead, there is a gentle inclination toward others, a quiet recognition of shared presence. Morality, when softened and lived without force, becomes a way of smoothing edges rather than polishing a surface to shine. Harmony often arrives as a soft blending. It does not insist on uniformity. It asks for a gentle arrangement where differences find a pattern that is pleasing and alive. Think of a room where light falls through a paper screen, where shadows and shapes interchange slowly. Each element keeps its own tone and yet contributes to an overall calm. The sense of balance here is not rigid. It accommodates slight movements, breathing spaces, the small changes of weather. Such harmony is tender and adaptive, not brittle. It invites a steady openness to what is present so that the whole remains untroubled by minor disturbances. Wisdom sometimes appears as an unhurried acceptance. Acceptance here does not mean passivity. It means seeing clearly what is before one, without embellishment or urgent refusal. When a difficulty is seen simply, it loses a portion of its weight. The responses that follow can then be measured and appropriate. This kind of seeing is like the quiet light that makes the texture of a wall visible. Without heat or glare, it reveals the contours without imposing harsh judgment. To hold this light in the belly is to maintain calm clarity. In that calm, the motions of life become legible and manageable. The thought of self-cultivation can be gentle and gradual. It is not a race toward a fixed ideal. It is an ongoing tending, like a gardener who observes soil through many seasons. Sometimes the gardener plants, sometimes she waits, and sometimes she simply removes a stone. Each act is small, deliberate, and patient. Over a long season, the garden yields a quiet abundance. The same patience, applied inwardly, brings small, steady improvements in character. Habits formed not by force, but by gentle repetition, by returning again and again to the same mindful posture. Each return is a soft instruction, strengthening a new, calmer pattern. Balance between the inner world and the outer world feels like matching two steady heartbeats. One is a private pulse, a rhythm of thought and feeling. The other is the wider rhythm of place and relation. When they fall into a measured duet, life hums quietly. One can feel the feet on the floor, the weight of presence, and the softness of breath. There is no frantic reaching outward for confirmation, nor is there a retreat into a sealed inner chamber. Instead, there is an elastic connection, like a slow rope between two soft anchors, holding but not tethering. This elasticity allows movement and stability together, without harsh snap or collapse. The role of example is gentle but strong. When someone lives with composure and consistent care, their manner becomes a subtle instruction. Others may notice without being told. The effect is like the warm light through a window that draws people toward a shared table. Influence that arises from calm steadiness does not coerce. It invites a quiet imitation, a soft shift in the habits of a group. Over time, this kind of influence creates a culture of measured attention, where choices are made with a reflective pause rather than a hurried leap. The community moves slowly toward a more gentle rhythm. To speak of propriety is to attend to the quiet edges of interaction. It is not a rigid code, it is a sensitivity to the moment, knowing how to show respect and how to yield space. Little courtesies are not empty forms when they are filled with authentic warmth. They are like stones laid to make a safe stepping place across a shallow stream. Each stone is small, but together they create a reliable path. Observing small rituals and manners calms social friction by offering predictable, soothing patterns of behavior. This predictability is not mechanical. It is a soft map for mutual comfort. Contemplation of the natural world offers steady nourishment. Watching a leaf in a slow descent, noticing the way a cloud changes form without hurry. These moments are simple lessons in impermanence and continuity. The leaf does not ask to be anything more than itself. The cloud does not resist wind. Observing them without hurry softens the mind's urge to grasp. The gaze becomes more receptive. When attention rests on such simple changes, anxiety about the future and regret about the past dwindle. The present expands like a widened field. Within that field, breathing is deeper and slower. The sage, in these reflections, is not an unattainable figure. Rather, the sage is the person who practices sustained steadiness in small acts. He or she pays attention to ordinary details, aligns action with gentle intention, and cultivates patience as a central virtue. There is no need for grand pronouncements. The sage's words, when spoken, are measured and few. They land like soft stones in a shallow pond and create rings that spread slowly. The image is quiet and plausible. Someone who lives by careful, habitual attention, whose life does not demand applause, but offers a quiet model of composure. Balance between effort and surrender is like the interplay of hands carrying a fragile object. One hand supports, attentive and secure. The other hand opens, allowing the object to move as it needs within a safe space. Neither tight grip nor complete release alone will serve. Together, they allow motion that is tender and protected. This middle way is a steady practice. It suggests that sometimes action must be firm, and sometimes it must be easy. Choosing between them is guided by a calm sense of the present fact, rather than by fear or desire. In that balance, actions are more effective and less exhausting. The language of analogy helps the mind rest quietly. Images such as mist, river, bamboo, and moon do not demand sharp analysis. They offer a soft surface on which reflection can glide. Each metaphor is simple and available. It invites the listener to map inner states onto natural phenomena without haste. A bamboo bends and returns. A moonlight path leads without showing every step. These comparisons are not puzzles to be solved. They are quiet ways to hold thought, to let ideas settle like dust in a slow, sunlit room. This holding softens the edges of intellectual urgency. There is a gentle ethics of small obligations. Obligations do not have to be heavy chains. When fulfilled with care and quiet attention, they become fabrics that connect people in an unthreatening way. A promise kept softly returns the trust given. A duty performed with calm steadiness comforts others by creating reliability. These acts do not seek reward. Their value is in the steady trust they weave. Over time, these small commitments produce a shared ease that supports the community like a stable porch beneath a house. The porch is not ornate, but it is solid and welcoming. Self-restraint is not denial, but measured freedom. It allows a person to choose a course of action that aligns with a wider calm. Restraint detains impulsive flames so that decisions can be taken with a broader view. This wider view often sees consequences as part of an extended field, rather than isolated incidents. Restraint practiced with warmth does not diminish life. It refines choice. Like pruning a branch, it shapes growth without violent cutting. Through gentle moderation, desires find their appropriate place, and impulses are integrated into a steady pattern. Compassion extends from simple awareness. To notice another's discomfort is the first step. That noticing can be gentle, without the urgency to fix everything at once. A compassionate presence can simply be an attuned ear or a calm hand. These small responses create a space where healing can grow slowly. Compassion practiced in this soft manner does not exhaust the giver because it is balanced by boundaries and simplicity. It flows like a mild warmth that does not demand equal reciprocation, but it enriches the whole field by its existence. Silence plays a careful role in thought. Not all silence is empty. Some silences are full of attention, like a room waiting for music to begin. This kind of silence is attentive, patient, and open. It allows ideas to mature and feelings to settle. The habit of pausing before speaking is a practiced form of restraint that cultivates clarity. In those pauses, responses can arise that are more considered and less reactive. The space also grants others permission to breathe and to be. Silence, thus, becomes a gentle friend to conversation rather than an absence to be filled. Mindfulness of small cycles fosters steadiness. Days have their soft rhythm of light and dark. Seasons change in quiet progression. Aligning personal practice with these larger cycles brings perspective and rest. One can match activity to the intensity of the season, conserving energy when needed and applying effort when conditions favor it. This match is not rigid timing, but a respectful responsiveness. It teaches a kind of patience that rests on observing the right moment. Acting in this way reduces wasted energy and increases the sense of life flowing with rather than against larger patterns. A calm education is one that favors example and gentle correction over harsh force. Teaching by modeled behavior allows lessons to be absorbed without humiliation or strain. Corrections, when offered softly, guide rather than shame. This nurtures a steady confidence in learners. Over time, they internalize habits of careful thought and compassionate action. The process resembles a teacher guiding a hand to hold a brush correctly, not through command, but through patient demonstration and small adjustments. The result is a skill that feels natural and unforced. Reflection on fate and choice can be tenderly moderated. There is a way to hold uncertainty without losing one's center. Some things unfold beyond immediate control. Recognizing this is not resignation. It is an honest appraisal that reduces futile struggle. Simultaneously, one attends to the small sphere of influence that remains before one. Within that sphere, choices are made with careful attention. This combined attitude of acceptance and thoughtful action keeps the heart steady. It allows effort to be placed where it can truly matter, while letting the rest be shaped by broader forces. Cultivating an inner stillness requires repeated, gentle returns. The mind wanders and must be led back with kindness. Each return is a soft correction, not a reprimand. The practice is like guiding a child who runs toward the edge of a garden. The guidance is steady, patient, and repetitive until the child learns the garden's safe boundaries. Over time, the mind becomes more accustomed to quiet focus. Distractions become less compelling. The space within grows more spacious and comfortable. A private room where one can sit without agitation. Attending to relationships with measured attention builds durable trust. Small, sincere gestures, repeated over time, create a foundation that weathers minor storms. Trust is not constructed quickly. It is the accumulation of reliable behavior and thoughtful presence. When friends and family experience steady care, their responses become similarly attuned. The rhythm of giving and receiving forms a soft choreography. Each participant learns the tempo of the other. In such networks, life proceeds with fewer sharp surprises and more gentle predictability. There is a beauty and simplicity that soothes the mind. Simplified surroundings, restrained speech, and modest desires allow clarity to surface. Clarity reduces the clutter that makes action heavy and thought sluggish. The practice of choosing less, of paring down, reveals what is most alive. As unnecessary weight falls away, movement and thought become more fluid. Simplicity here is not a vow of austerity. It is a careful selection, a favoring of what sustains rather than what distracts. In that selection, a calm quality settles over daily life. The practice of listening softly is a form of wisdom. To listen without planning the next response opens a receiving space that honors the speaker. This kind of attention calms conversation and deepens understanding. It also reveals subtleties that hurried speech would miss. Listening becomes a practice of humility, recognizing that another's inner world may contain truths not immediately visible. With that humility, responses emerge that are more accurate and more gentle. The exchange becomes less about winning an argument and more about shared clarity. Moderation in speech keeps relationships steady. Words are not flung like stones. They are chosen and released with care. Critical remarks are softened. Praise is sincere but restrained, and casual remarks are considered for their effect. Speech guided by moderation does not suppress feeling. It shapes it in a form that is less likely to harm and more likely to heal. In this way, conversation becomes a steady current rather than a volatile storm. The tone remains even, and the content is shaped by a desire to preserve calm and clarity. The mind, practiced in mild attention, learns to accept small discomforts without immediate reactivity. A cold wind, a delayed journey, a minor irritation. These pass without creating disproportionate disturbance. Responding with measured mind reduces exhaustion. Energy is preserved for actions that truly matter. This attitude is not indifferent. It is selective engagement, a wisdom of priorities that keeps emotional resources available. The result is a life where small disturbances do not swell into overwhelming storms. Cultivating gratitude in small measures offers gentle buoyancy. Noticing modest gifts, a morning bird, a warm bowl, a helpful hand, shifts attention toward abundance. Gratitude practiced quietly does not demand spectacle. It is a softened lens that colors the day with appreciation. Over time, this habit counters the mind's tendency toward fixation on lack. It does not erase suffering, but allows joy to enter more freely, like light seeping through a thin curtain. The balance between noticing scarcity and noticing sufficiency keeps the heart steady. Steadfastness in habit becomes a quiet ally. Repeating soft practices daily forms a lattice of support. Rituals do not have to be elaborate to be effective. Simple routines repeated with presence create an environment of calm predictability. Predictability does not equal boredom. It creates a familiar container in which novelty can be explored without losing orientation. The gentle network of habit supports creativity and calm action, allowing life to steady itself around known and trusted edges. There is always space for gentle curiosity. Curiosity, practiced without urgency, invites new insights without the stress of immediate accomplishment. It allows questions to unfold slowly, like petals that open one by one. This pace gives time for deeper responses to arise. Curiosity becomes a steady companion, not a restless demand. It feeds the mind with a soft energy that keeps learning alive across years, rather than burning bright and exhausting quickly. The tone of inquiry remains calm and patient. The body itself holds wisdom when attended to with gentleness. Breath, posture, simple movement, and rest are basic teachers. Listening to bodily signals and responding softly helps maintain balance. This attentive care does not overvalue comfort at the expense of growth, nor does it glorify discomfort as a virtue. It finds a middle way, acknowledging limits and offering support. The body's steady guidance, when recognized, keeps the entire person more aligned and less prone to sudden decline. The path of humility is like carrying a small light through a large dark room. The light does not banish the whole darkness, but shows a safe step ahead. Humility accepts the limits of knowledge and remains open to correction. It is not self-effacement, but clear-sighted modesty. In this stance, learning proceeds without the clog of pride, and relationships remain humble and supportive. The small light of humility reveals immediate needs and dispels unnecessary doubts, allowing a calm way forward. Patience is practiced as a continuous, soft training rather than a one-time achievement. Each daily delay, each quiet acceptance is an exercise in lengthening the time between stimulus and reaction. That extension creates reflective space. Over time, it becomes a default pattern. Responses are less impulsive and more aligned with long-term balance. Patience, in this sense, is not a passive waiting, but an active cultivation of inner spacing. It creates a gentle architecture of time. within which life can unfold without constant strain. Trust in a steady process grows as small practices accumulate. There is no sudden transformation, yet change is real. The accumulation is slow and gentle, like sediment layering at the bottom of a deep pool. Each layer is thin, but collectively durable. This trust calms frantic searching for shortcuts. It invites careful attention to the ordinary. The life that emerges is not urgent, but measured, not spectacular, but quietly rich. Within that richness, breath deepens and thoughts soften, allowing a continued, unhurried exploration of the path ahead. The river moves without haste. It curves around stones and follows the shape of the land. Water does not force its way, and yet it travels far. This simple motion offers a quiet lesson about ease and persistence. The surface of the river reflects the sky. The reflection shifts with every small breeze. In the stillness of observation, one can notice how gentle yielding carries a certain strength. There is no rush, only continual passage. A single bamboo stalk bends with the wind. It returns upright when the wind has passed. The bending is not defeat, but a careful response. In the movement, there is a soft wisdom that knows when to give and when to hold. This is not an action born of struggle. It is an action shaped by attunement to the whole. One can imagine an inner flexibility that meets each situation calmly. Imagine a mountain in the distance. Its presence is quiet and steady. Clouds move across its slopes, and the patterns change slowly. The mountain does not hurry to be anything other than itself. It holds a patient stillness that supports the sky and earth. Observing such steadfastness can inspire a calm endurance. One can feel the steadiness of being that does not seek applause or view. Breathing mirrors many natural rhythms. Inhale, and the chest fills smoothly. Exhale, and the body settles deeper. The breath is simple and continuous. It has its own unforced tempo. Guided by this rhythm, thoughts can soften and edges blur. Each breath traces a small circle of attention that returns to the present. This gentle return is like the tide coming in and out. A lantern glows in a quiet courtyard. The light is soft and reaches only a little way. It does not demand to illuminate everything. Instead, it offers warmth for the next step. This restrained brightness reveals what is near and lets the rest remain in gentle darkness. There is a calm respect for limits. Light and shadow share the space without contest. Seasonal cycles turn without complaint. Spring arrives and then yields to summer. Leaves mature and then let go in autumn. Winter follows with its slow hush. Each season has a role, and it moves according to its nature. There is no need to hurry a season or to pretend it is another. In accepting these cycles, attention learns to flow with time rather than strain against it. The idea of cause and effect can be like planting a seed. One plants with care and waits without forcing the sprout. The result unfolds over time according to many conditions. Patience allows processes to complete themselves. The gardener trusts the earth and works alongside it. There is a modest collaboration between intention and circumstance. Action and rest alternate naturally. In quiet gatherings, people listen more than they speak. Words fall softly like leaves. A measured silence makes space for another voice to emerge. The slow exchange nurtures understanding. that does not need loudness. Caring attention changes the tone of any conversation. Listening is an active receptivity rather than mere absence of words. It invites clarity through calm. A path through a forest is visible by the worn soil. The path exists because footsteps have gently repeated a route. No force carved it, only soft persistence. Each step is small and unobtrusive. Over time, a clear way forms. There is wisdom in consistent small deeds. They shape the world without strenuous effort or grand display. Clouds gather and disperse in the sky. They form shapes and then dissolve into light. Their presence is temporary and graceful. Watching clouds can quiet the mind because they do not stay. Thoughts are like these clouds. They come into view and then fade. Observing them without clinging allows a natural calm to return. There is an ease in acknowledging transience. A cup holds water and then is empty again. Its emptiness is not a lack, but a potential. The open space in the cup makes room for something new. In this openness, there is readiness and adaptability. One can think of an inner receptivity that allows life to enter without pressure. This spaciousness supports gentle change and ongoing receiving. Paths of virtue are often small and repeatable. Simple courtesies can become steady habits. A respectful word, a thoughtful gesture, a measured step. These accumulate in quiet ways. Over time, a calm pattern of behavior emerges. It does not require showy proof or dramatic claims. The virtue appears in repeated modest acts that smooth daily life. A pond reflects the still sky and the trees around it. When wind stirs the surface, ripples move outward. Each ripple touches another and then fades. Small disturbances soften as they travel across the water. In this way, minor tensions ease themselves. There is no need for forceful correction. Gentle responses help restore balance and allow the surface to become calm again. Light moves across a courtyard as the sun arcs. Shadows stretch and then shorten. The slow change marks the passage of a day. Nothing is hurried in this measured progress. The day completes its course by gradual steps. Observing these shifts brings a mild steadiness. Time becomes a sequence of small, inevitable movements. A willow tree drops slender leaves into a stream. The leaves ride for a while and then sink out of sight. Their journey is effortless, propelled by a gentle current. There is a quiet trust in letting go. When one releases, the current carries what is unneeded. Each release lessens weight and increases freedom. In such letting, movements become lighter. A soft bell rings in the distance. Its tone stretches and then vanishes. The sound does not insist on occupying space. It simply exists and dissipates. Listening to such a bell invites calm attention. The mind follows the sound without clutching it. The listening itself becomes a gentle practice of presence and return. Grains of sand on a shore shift with each wave. No single grain resists the tide. Over long stretches, the shore changes shape slowly. The rhythm of water and sand is a patient dance of give and take. One learns a quiet humility watching this interplay. Small elements together shape a broader contour over time without hurry. A simple meal can be an exercise in care. Preparing food with steady hands and calm attention makes each bite more present. Eating slowly invites the senses to register subtle tastes and textures. The act of nourishing becomes a ritual of modest gratitude. There is pleasure in attending to small things with measured focus. A corridor of pines stands in even rows. Their trunks rise like steady columns. Wind moves through their needles in a uniform hush. The alignment is orderly, yet natural. The space between trunks creates rhythm and breath. Walking there slows the pace of thought. The steady green supports a soft clarity of mind. Ink spreads gently on paper when a brush touches it. The stroke depends on the weight of the hand and the flow of ink. A light touch allows the line to breathe. The practice requires patience and restraint. Each movement is deliberate, but without strain. There is beauty in measured restraint and in the balance between control and allowance. A clay pot forms slowly on a wheel. The potter's hands guide the shape with steady pressure. Too much haste collapses the form. A calm, even touch yields a vessel that can hold. The creation is a patient response to pliant material. Working in this manner teaches a quiet coordination between guidance and responsiveness. A grain field sways with a steady rhythm. Each stalk bends in similar ways to the wind. The unity of movement is gentle and measured. There is a collective harmony that does not require instruction. Each part knows how to respond and thereby supports the whole. This mutual adjustment is a silent cooperation over time. A quiet lamp in a finishing room burns without lavish heat. Its small flame warms and does not burn. It creates an environment where careful work is possible. The measured glow encourages steady attention without the urgency of bright light. One learns that moderation fosters sustained focus. Little reserves of warmth can sustain longer journeys. A road curves around a hill and reveals a new view with a slow turn. Each bend offers a small surprise that is not startling. The discovery is gentle. The pace required to witness it is unhurried. This way of traveling invites a continuous, soft curiosity. One looks without longing and moves forward without strain. A shallow bowl can hold tea and reveal its aroma. The act of lifting the cup becomes a small ceremony. Smelling, sipping, setting down again forms a quiet loop. The repetition calms the body and mind. In these small, repeated motions, a rhythm of contentment takes root. It is a rhythm that prefers steadiness over excitement. Frost forms on a field and then melts back into mist. The transformation is quiet and uncoerced. Temperature and light perform their work without drama. Observing this changing surface encourages acceptance of shifting conditions. One learns to notice alterations with equanimity. Change is natural and can be met with soft attention. The sound of footsteps on a wooden floor is rhythmic and measured. Each step produces a small percussion that blends into a gentle pattern. Walking can become a meditation of even steps. Attention follows breath and pace together. The body leads in simple motions that do not demand explanation. In the steady cadence, thoughts loosen their hold. A stone artisan smooths a surface with patient strokes. The work requires time and careful repetition. Each pass removes a tiny imperfection. Over many small adjustments, a refined finish emerges. The process honors detail and the slow accumulation of effort. There is a quiet dignity in work that is completed through sustained, gentle care. A small bridge arches over a creek. It offers a single, measured crossing. One steps slowly and feels the slight give of the wood. The crossing is modest and purposeful. It connects two sides without fanfare. The bridge is an invitation to progress that is neither loud nor hurried. It supports movement in a simple, steady way. A lantern shadow moves as the hand holding it walks along a wall. The shadow lengthens and then shortens again. The interplay of light and dark is patterned and calm. Shadows teach that presence always carries a soft counterpart. Observing them attunes one to subtle contrasts without alarm. The pattern itself is soothing. An old book's pages whisper when turned. Each page holds a small world of thought. Reading slowly allows the ideas to settle. There is pleasure in giving attention to a phrase and letting it rest. Ideas then mature like fruit ripening on a branch. They do not need to be forced to taste. Lanterns hung along a path glow with small certainty. They mark steps and guide softly. The light does not overwhelm night but steadies the way. Walking by such light feels safe without strain. The guidance is gentle and unwavering. It encourages a steady journey without urgency. A garden gate opens with a soft creak and then settles into place. Entering is a quiet choice. The gate does not demand commitment, only a gentle decision. Inside, paths and plants receive attention slowly. Each movement through the garden becomes an exercise in calm observation. The space invites a flattened tempo and a soft focus. A distant bell drifts across fields and settles into the air. Its slow resonance moves through leaves and over water. The tone fades like a remembered thought. There is no insistence in its sound. Listening without grasp brings a natural ease. The bell's passage is a small rhythm in the wide landscape. Leaves collect in shallow piles along a path. Each leaf has fallen in its own time. The gathered form is quiet and unremarkable. Walking past, one presses them flat and they scatter again. The small disturbance is soon replaced by stillness. There is comfort in cycles that reset themselves with little fuss. The moon slides behind thin clouds and then reappears with gentle patience. Its face does not hurry to be whole. The light that returns is calm and even. Night moves with a soft cadence, neither blunt nor sharp. Observing the moon's passage is like following a quiet thought. As it takes shape, one remains calm and attentive. As images form and dissolve, a slow wind moves through the reed beds, and each reed bows in its own way. There is a gentle intelligence in that bending, a knowledge of give and take that requires no hurry. As you listen, imagine the reeds noticing the weight of the air and the direction of the wind, responding with soft motion. There is no struggle, only a mutual adjustment that keeps the stalks upright and alive. This is like a thought about action and non-action, where movement arises from listening and small turns, where effort is guided by sensitivity rather than force. Let your breathing follow the reed's rhythm, in and out, slight and steady. Water finds its level not by planning, but by following its own inclination, moving toward low places and pooling with patient clarity. It wears away stone by doing nothing dramatic, by 1,000 gentle contacts, by a steady presence. There is a kind of wisdom in this persistence, a way of accomplishing much by means of softness, by yielding, and by long attention. Consider how a clear stream makes a small difference to everything it touches, refining pebbles and refreshing roots. Imagine your attention like that slow water, tending what it meets with quiet perseverance, shaping the world without harshness or haste. A hidden valley holds a morning mist that rises and settles like a slow thought. In that mist, outlines soften and edges disappear, revealing a shared grayness where distinctions relax. It is possible to rest in that soft clarity, where judgments are not sharp, where things appear without demanding labels. There is a peace that comes when distinctions are allowed to blur for a while, when the mind permits a gentle openness. In that space, things can rearrange and breathe, and new relations become possible. Let your mind imitate that mist, allowing certainty to loosen and gentle uncertainty to become a companion. The sage is often imagined as someone walking barefoot among simple stones, paying attention to the sounds underfoot. Each step is measured, not by worry, but by a steady presence, an attentive awareness. This posture is neither grand nor small. It is simply awake. It bends toward what is required and holds back where nothing is needed. The idea of walking with care contains a quieter principle, that life itself invites small correctives, not loud commands. When action is guided by listening rather than by a pounding will, it moves with a kind of natural elegance, like a path discovered rather than forced. In villages, people tend to their fields and share stories at the hearth, passing down patterns of living that suit the land. These patterns are like an old song learned by the body, not merely by the mind. Rituals of daily life, from planting to harvest, carry a wisdom of timing and proportion. They teach an economy of movement and speech, conserving energy while sustaining the whole. There is a value in repeating modest tasks with careful attention, in letting habitual acts become refined through practice. This habitual refinement is not about perfection, but about fitting one small action to another, allowing a life to unfold with balanced simplicity. Imagine an old tree beside a path, its branches reached in patient, irregular ways. The tree has known many seasons, and its growth carries memories of winds and rains. It stands not by effort alone, but by a long history of subtle adaptations, each ring an essay of response. Trees teach quiet persistence and a capacity to hold both abundance and loss. They shelter the small and witness passing lives without complaint. When you rest against such a trunk in thought, you feel steadiness that is gentle and unhurried, a presence that does not need to prove itself. Harmony comes from fitting the small movements to the large, from adjusting the reed to the wind and the branch to the sky. It is not a single, fixed state, but a continuous balancing, a patient recalibration. The world itself is a conversation of parts seeking accord, and we are invited to listen and respond. A single breath can alter the temperament of a moment, softening a sudden edge. The practice of listening deeply is a quiet cultivation, an inner training that refines what counts as fitting. Allow the world's cadence to slow you so that your responses are measured and warm. Consider the practice of returning, of circling back to what matters, like a river that curves and returns to its main channel. This returning is not a failure, but a gentle recovery, a way of keeping things aligned. When thoughts drift into distraction, the act of coming back is an honest kindness, a small correction that steadies the mind. There is no harshness required, only a patient hand guiding attention home. Such return is like tending a lamp and rediscovering its small bright center. Let your attention wander and return with warmth, making tending itself into a simple ritual. The notion of emptiness is often misunderstood as lack, but in these reflections it is more like a clear space where things can show themselves. Emptiness allows the tree to stand, the reed to move, the river to pass. It is a receptive capacity, the quiet room in which forms appear and dissolve without clinging. Emptiness is a kind of roominess in the heart, a soft willingness to hold what arrives without gripping. In that holding, there is freedom to respond freshly. When thoughts settle into a spacious silence, possibilities open like fields after rain, tender and available. Personal discipline can be thought of as the gentle shaping of habits rather than stern command. Small practices, repeated with care, gradually align attention and action. Like a gardener pruning dead twigs to let light reach new buds, discipline removes what obstructs growth. It is not punitive, but supportive, a compassionate trimming that creates room for life. The discipline of quiet reflection and measured speech produces steadiness without stiffness. One learns to weigh words before speaking and to let silence serve as a gentle guard for thought. In this way, the self becomes a receptive instrument, tuned by small acts of care. The relationship between words and silence is like the pattern between stars and night. Words provide guidance and warmth, but silence gives them space to be understood. Too many words crowd the heart and scatter attention. Too much silence may leave warmth unshared. A balanced speech includes pauses, small breaths between sentences that allow meaning to settle. The classic stories of sages often show them speaking little, yet saying what matters. Let your speech be measured like a careful hand, holding a small flame and passing it with respect, neither smothering it nor casting it to the wind. A practice of walking slowly brings the body into the same rhythm as thoughtful attention. Each footfall becomes a point of contact with the earth, a reminder of grounding. Walking slowly, you notice textures underfoot, the shift of weight, the slight sway of hips. That attention translates into the mind, calming its quick movements. The body teaches patience by virtue of its limits, and the mind learns to follow with humility. In each step, there is an invitation to presence, and that presence unfolds not as effort, but as a gentle compliance with the facts of being and moving. The old teachings remind us that moral life grows from small attentions rather than grand declarations. Acts of care, modest and repeated, shape a character more surely than loud resolves. A neighbor's kettle warmed, a bowl placed on the table, a letter written with steady hand. These ordinary mercies accumulate into a life of trust. The moral atmosphere of a community is composed of such tiny fidelity. It is easier to cultivate warmth through steady habits than to rely on sporadic heroism. Consider how a day of small kindnesses creates a quieter, kinder world, one that breathes with the rest of nature. Patience is not passivity, but a measured ability to wait without losing clarity. It is a clarity that sees the long arc of causes and effects, and therefore acts only when the time is right. In the garden, seeds sprout according to their own timing, and the gardener knows when to water and when to be still. Learning patience is learning to trust rhythms beyond immediate desire, to allow maturation to happen slowly. When impatience arises, imagine it as a cloud passing over the calm sky and let it move on. Returning to steadiness becomes then a soft, repeated practice. Consider the image of a bell that is struck lightly and allowed to ring until it fades. The sound begins with a small impulse and then continues through void and resonance. There is a clear origin and a generous spreading that requires no further pushing. Thought and action can follow such a model. Begin simply, make a careful touch, and then let the effect unfold without interference. The desire to control every echo only disturbs the natural resonance. Trusting the initial touch invites a longer, more harmonious outcome. A melody that grows out of a single, mindful motion. Cultivating humility is like learning to see without insisting on being seen. Humility does not diminish the self, but lets the self take its proper measure within a wider field. It receives praise without clutching at it and accepts criticism without losing balance. In community, humility eases friction and allows cooperation to flourish. When one listens more than speaks, one gathers subtle information that would be missed by hurried assertion. Humility is a quiet strength that supports steadiness of character, an unobtrusive competence that keeps action gentle and true. The balance between communal norms and personal discernment is delicate and lived rather than argued. Rituals and customs guide the many small interactions that make communal life possible, but they are most alive when held with intelligence and adaptability. A rigid adherence can grate like a clumsy tool, while too lax an attitude erodes cohesion. Wisdom resides in knowing when to honor form and when to allow form to bend. This is akin to learning the rules of a craft and then improvising gently so the piece sings. Let community practices be like scaffolding, present to support, removable when the structure stands. Simplicity has a quiet authority. When life is uncluttered, choices reveal themselves with less noise. Simple living does not mean impoverishment, but a focused attention on what sustains. Possessions and obligations thin into essentials, and thus the heart is less divided. In simplicity, one learns to savor small pleasures without their opposite, craving. There is a relief in letting go of unnecessary complexities, and a fresh clarity emerges, like a clear sky after a storm. The satisfaction found in modest things deepens with time, like a conversation that slowly becomes a friendship. Nature's cycles give an easy model for accepting change. Leaves bud, green, and then fall, and life continues through a series of returns. Rather than resisting these changes, the wise person learns to move with the seasons, finding appropriate tasks for each phase. Energy is allocated according to the time of year, and rest is embraced as an essential part of work. In embracing cyclicity, there is a relief from futile attempts to stop change. Let each phase be honored on its own terms, giving what it can and conserving for what is to come. This seasonal attunement brings a steady calm. The idea of moral exemplars has long been a gentle guide for action. When one contemplates the life of a thoughtful person, one notices patterns of humility, careful speech, and steady service. These patterns, when observed, become templates for imitation, not in slavish copying, but as suggestions for shaping one's own conduct. The exemplary life is not an unreachable standard, but a soft horizon that orients everyday choices. By dwelling on these examples quietly, one allows small habits to form that echo, those virtues. In time, the echo becomes a natural movement, almost unnoticed. Wisdom also involves recognizing limits and acting within them. Overreach often leads to loss, while modest endeavors can be completed with care. The Great Way often suggests smallness, where tiny correctives prevent larger troubles. Knowing one's capacity invites responsibility and reduces harm. When tasks are chosen to match strength and circumstance, results are more reliable and less costly. This awareness does not discourage ambition, but shapes it into realities that sustain rather than deplete. Choose projects that fit the measure of your attention and resources, and proceed with gentle constancy. The role of art and poetry in a reflective life is to render the ordinary luminous. A quiet poem can deepen an afternoon. A brushstroke can reveal a hill's hidden slope. Artistic engagement sharpens perception, teaching the eye to notice subtleties. The aesthetic sensibility is a kind of moral training because it cultivates attention to form, proportion, and timing. A practiced gaze sees beauty in modest arrangements, and this appreciation softens harsh judgments. In daily life, small acts of arranging a cup or choosing a word become artistic gestures that honor the present. Learning to respond to conflict with measured kindness transforms the shape of tension. Instead of immediate retaliation, a slow breath and a careful question can open a way toward mutual understanding. Conflict often arises from misalignment of needs and perceptions, and correcting such misalignments requires patience and curiosity. To answer rather than strike is to keep the possibility of repair intact. In this patient engagement, the self learns to hold discomfort without being consumed by it. The art of a considered response preserves dignity and invites reconciliation. Trust grows from predictability and small fulfilled promises. When words match deeds, confidence accumulates like sediment, layer by steady layer. Trust is not given all at once, but is earned through repeated kindnesses and reliability. It flourishes in contexts where people attend to each other with modest fidelity, returning borrowed tools, keeping appointments, or listening without judgment. These simple acts create a moral weather that makes cooperation easier. Cultivate trust through small, dependable behaviors, and watch how the social field smooths into gentler relations. Contemplation often benefits from a steady anchor, an image or breath that brings wandering thought back to center. This anchor can be as simple as the image of a river or the feeling of a hand resting softly on the knee. Returning to the anchor is not failure but practice. It is the method by which attention is trained. Over time, the anchor makes the mind less prone to agitation and more able to remain in extended, quiet observation. Such observation is not empty staring, but a kind of recognition that sees, processes, rather than clinging to passing particulars. The notion of naturalness, or following one's nature, suggests a gentle alignment between inner tendency and outward behavior. It does not mean indulgence, but rather a truthful compliance with what fits. A craftsman follows the grain of wood, not inaction, but skilled cooperation. So too, living according to nature requires skillful attention, knowing when to press and when to yield. This balanced approach reduces friction and enhances the flow of life. Naturalness develops through practice. As habits refine into forms that embody both ease and efficacy, a small meditation on moderation can be soothing: to eat and sleep enough, to speak only when it nourishes, to labor with regular rest. Extremes are often unsustainable, while moderate habits support longevity. This is a cultivation of proportion rather than ascetic hardness. Enjoyment is not forbidden, but balanced with restraint, so that pleasure does not become a tyrant. Moderation is a way to maintain presence and clarity, allowing the mind to remain an open field rather than a tangled thicket of cravings. Silence can be an active form of care, an attentive space for others to speak and for one to listen. When a person is troubled, the presence of patient silence can be more healing than hurried advice. In silence, emotions are named by being allowed to exist without immediate correction. This holding is a simple generosity, a way of saying that the other is not alone. Practice allowing silence to be a presence that contains rather than a gap that must be filled. In such silence, relationships deepen slowly and naturally. The passage of time is marked by small rituals that help us remember what matters. Lighting a lamp, setting a small table, or pausing to breathe before a meal are modest acts that create continuity. Rituals need not be elaborate to be meaningful. Their power lies in the repetition that links past to present. Through ritual, memory is honored and attention is anchored. Such practices steady the day, giving it a calm architecture that supports the unexpected. Allow your daily rituals to be simple containers for attention, available and gentle. Wisdom often involves a readiness to change one's mind when new evidence appears. Flexibility does not connote weakness, but rather responsiveness. A person who can revise opinion without shame maintains integrity by aligning belief with reality. This openness prevents stagnation and fosters learning. The practice of admitting error and adjusting course is a humble strength that benefits both self and community. Let opinions be provisional tools rather than rigid proclamations. And notice how this softens interactions. The relationship between the inner life and public duty can be balanced through careful calibration. Inner cultivation nourishes clear judgment, and public action tests that clarity in concrete situations. A quiet heart does not retreat from responsibility, but grounds it, providing steadiness under pressure. In public dealings, speech and action are most effective when rooted in inner clarity and tempered by compassion. The wise agent keeps both realms in view, letting private reflection inform public work and allowing public tasks to refine inner understanding. Compassion is a practice that begins with small gestures and expands through habit. It is a way of perceiving another's need and responding without calculation. Each act of kindness, no matter how small, subtly alters the field of relations and reduces suffering. Compassion need not be dramatic to be effective. Consistent, modest help creates durable warmth. Practice noticing the immediate needs around you and answering with simple, calm gestures. Over time, these gestures become a disposition that softens the way you move through the world. The steady cultivation of a calm mind resembles tending a slow-burning fire, feeding it with gentle attention and shielding it from sudden gusts. The fire of awareness is nourished by practice and by a temperate lifestyle that avoids extremes. When the mind is kept warm by consistent care, insight emerges naturally, like sparks rising from steady coals. Sudden flares of emotion are less likely to scatter that warmth when it is tended with patient devotion. Keep the flame small and true, and let it illuminate the near surroundings with dependable light. There is a lesson in the care of simple objects: a well-worn cup, a humbly repaired coat, a mend that holds. Care shows respect for utility and the life that objects share with us. When we treat things gently, we treat ourselves and others with the same modest respect. Repair and maintenance are forms of gratitude, acknowledging that use does not erase worth. By engaging in small acts of care, one fosters a sense of stewardship, a quiet recognition that life is composed of interconnected services. Learning to be present in conversation is an art that calms the mind and honors the other. Presence requires listening without preparing a reply, allowing words to land fully before shaping an answer. Such listening is a kind of charity, offering attentiveness as a gift. It slows the rhythm of exchange, replacing hurried monologues with thoughtful pauses. When speech is slow and considerate, misunderstandings diminish and connection deepens. Make conversation a place of mutual shelter, where words are chosen with care and silence is respected. Cultivating equanimity means allowing pleasant and unpleasant events to touch the heart without being carried away. Equanimity is not indifference, but a balanced steadying that recognizes the flux of experience. When one practices remaining even when tides change, the mind becomes a harbor where storms can pass. This steadiness is learned through habitual exposure to small disturbances and by returning again and again to calm. The practice of equanimity supports both clarity of judgment and warmth of feeling. A respect for boundaries keeps relationships healthy and interactions sustainable. Boundaries are not walls, but clear markers that state where one person's responsibility begins and another's ends. Learning to set and honor these limits prevents burnout and maintains dignity. Boundaries also allow intimacy to deepen without swallowing autonomy. When we practice gentle clarity about limits, we create safer spaces for connection. In daily life, a simple no, spoken with kindness, protects the integrity of both parties and opens a field of honest exchange. The cultivation of slow attention is itself an art that requires patience and minimal drama. It is the practice of noticing what is present without needing to transform it. In such attention, the ordinary reveals itself as full of meaning. Small objects become teachers when observed with care. The vein of a leaf, the smell of tea, the texture of cloth. This slow looking trains the mind to find richness in the near at hand, reducing the restless desire for distant novelty. Let your curiosity be steady and local, and watch how the immediate world deepens into significance. Trusting in the slow unfolding of insight removes pressure to arrive at conclusions quickly. Often, the most useful understanding emerges when time is allowed for impressions to settle and recombine. Rushing thought may produce cleverness, but not necessarily wisdom. Slow, patient mind gathers slowly and makes connections when conditions are ripe. Cultivate a relaxed schedule for inner work, giving yourself time to integrate experiences. As the mind unhurriedly processes life, genuine clarity emerges without force. The presence of gratitude softens routine and makes small things luminous. When each simple favor is acknowledged, the day gathers warmth like a hearth, and relationships gain a softened depth. Gratitude need not be extravagant. A quiet nod, a written note, or a remembered thought are sufficient. This habitual noticing of gifts frames life as shared rather than solitary. Practicing gratitude trains the heart to dwell in the field of abundance, modest and continuous, and it turns ordinary moments into quiet celebrations. Allow your mind to rest in the slow current of these reflections, letting each sentence be a gentle wave that moves without urgency. There is no demand for sudden revelation, only the tender invitation to be present with small truths. As attention settles, the distinctions that seemed so urgent begin to blur, and a quieter clarity arises. Stay with the rhythm of breath and the soft architecture of these ideas, and let them live in you as steady companions. Each moment of calm practice is a seed planted in slow time, and the unfolding will continue in its own careful way. A single image returns like a soft bell, a slow ripple across still water. In that stillness, a thought moves gently, not to disturb but to illuminate. The old teachings speak in images that fold into each other, like reeds leaning toward dusk, like the long shadow of a tree growing toward the cool. In this calm, ideas are like light falling through paper screens, diffused and quiet. They do not demand action. They simply offer a way of seeing that allows small things to be noticed. The curved edge of a leaf, the whisper of wind. Presence is steady, like a slow river learning its own bed. There is a way of speaking about balance that is soft and unhurried. Opposites are not enemies, but companions. One may imagine warmth and coolness as companions in a slow conversation, each shaping the other, neither fully complete without the quiet of the other. The rhythm of change is gentle, a breathing between giving and receiving. Harmony is not a fixed, calculated order, but a continuous adjustment, a tending that does not push, but allows. The mind rests like a reed in water, bending without breaking, learning the art of subtle response to the constant gentle motions that belong to the world. The idea of effortless action is like a hand gliding over silk. It is not absence of care, but a careful lightness. To act without forcing is to trust the moment, to choose when to move and when to remain still. This is not laziness, nor is it haste. It is a pattern in which timing matters more than speed, where the slightest misstep can be corrected by returning to a calm center. The sage moves through days with a measured step, attentive and unhurried, letting intentions line up with the soft logic of circumstance. There is wisdom in the pause between impulse and response. Consider the image of a valley holding water. The valley receives everything, yet clings to nothing. This openness is a kind of strength that does not resist. It gathers and lets go, making room for what arrives and allowing what must leave. The heart that practices such openness keeps its boundaries and also its hospitality. The practice is quiet and patient. When attention is like a valley, there is a capacity for weathering many moods and shifts. Events wash through with less friction. The inner surface smooths by attention, not by forcing the shapes of water to conform to one will. Language is treated with care and humility. Names are useful, like small lanterns in the dark, but they are not the thing itself. A name points to a path, but cannot carry the forest. Words can serve to remind, to hold a memory, to instruct, but they can also become cages if remembered too tightly. The gentle art is to carry words lightly, using them to guide without enclosing experience. When speech is like a soft footfall, it leaves no unnecessary traces. Those who move in soft speech allow silence to teach when silence is clearer than any phrase. In the quiet life of attention, rituals are not rigid rules, but soft structures that shape habit. Small routines become the lattice on which a calm life grows. They are like stones placed along a stream to steady stepping. Each ritual, whether small or grand, supports a form of orientation toward care, toward others, toward the world. The value lies not in the outer form alone, but in the mind that keeps the form with sincerity. When gesture is offered without pretense, it becomes a living sign of respect and connection. The gesture then teaches the heart how to return again to a gentle and steady course. Compassion is presented as a slow opening. It is not an intense fire, but a warm tide that rises to meet another being. In listening without hurry, the mind creates space for the other's presence. That space is an offering more than a solution. The practitioner learns to hold sorrow without absorbing it, to listen without rushing to fix. This soft attention heals simply by allowing. Actions rooted in compassion are measured and enduring, tending to needs with a patient hand and a steady mind. There is a quiet dignity in gentle care. Governance, in the old way of thought, is imagined as tending a garden rather than commanding an army. Leaders are like gardeners who know the soil, who prune minimally, who prefer to encourage growth rather than force shape. The best leaders cause little disturbance, allowing communities and practices to find their own balance. Authority is exercised with restraint, guided by a steady sense of fairness and a gentle concern for the common life. A wise ruler understands that peace is cultivated through example, through modesty, and through the steady tending of ordinary needs without spectacle. Virtue is likened to a river that nourishes without announcing itself. Quiet virtue does not seek praise. It is built by daily small acts that have substance because they are repeated with sincerity. Kindness, honesty, humility, and patience become patterns of being when practiced day by day. Over time, the inner landscape shifts. Actions that once required effort become the natural response. This soft formation of character is not sudden, but cumulative, like layers of sediment forming a bed. Virtue grows quietly until it becomes the ground from which choices arise effortlessly. There is an emphasis on simplicity, not as a show of poverty, but as a means of clearing the mind. Simplicity reduces the noise that competes with attention. A simplified life makes room for contemplation and for ordinary enjoyment of small things. Possessions and plans are seen in light of their capacity to support a gentle life. Excess is recognized as a pull away from inner clarity. To live simply is to allow the mind to follow the subtle currents of experience without being constantly tugged by distractions. The quiet life finds richness in less, in closer attention to what truly matters. Human relationships are thought of in terms of mutual cultivation. A bond is not merely an exchange, but a shared unfolding. Each person supports the other's growth by maintaining their own steadiness. Respect and reciprocity are gentle rhythms of care. The small acts of reliability, the words that calm rather than inflame, the attention that listens. These are the threads that bind. Trust builds slowly through consistency. When relationships are tended with humility and patience, they become places of rest, where each person can return to a measure of peace. Time is considered as a teacher, slow and patient. The cycles of seasons teach a deep lesson about change and continuity. There is no hurry to compress learning into a single moment. Growth unfolds according to rhythms that cannot be hurried. By aligning with larger cycles, one's life becomes more resilient. Planting and harvesting, resting and preparing, these activities remind the mind of larger patterns. Patience is cultivated by staying in the rhythm of renewal, by accepting that some things ripen on their own schedule, and that haste often disrupts natural maturation. The notion of emptiness is treated as space for things to be. Emptiness is not absence, but potential, like an open room ready to receive light. Such space allows for movement and for new forms. When the mind becomes less cluttered by fixed views, it becomes more capable of responding to the living moment. Emptiness invites curiosity. It is the condition where subtle perception can arise. It allows one to notice small shifts and to adapt. The practice of making space is a slow unburdening, a letting go of unnecessary assumptions that would otherwise fill the inner room. In contemplation, paradox is not a problem but a doorway. Seeming contradictions are used to stretch the mind toward greater flexibility. When one sits with paradox gently, it dissolves the need for tidy answers. The world holds many opposites that coexist. To accept them without forcing a single explanation fosters a steadier intelligence. This intelligence notices multiple dimensions at once. It learns to rest in the middle ground, where opposing poles can be held together without collapsing into confusion. The calm mind becomes broad enough to see the wisdom that lives across apparent contradictions. Nature serves as an unending teacher through simple observation, watching the pattern of leaves in wind, the way clouds gather and scatter, the gradual movement of light across fields. All these offer practical lessons. Nature moves without hurry, and it does not resist what comes. By attending to these movements, the mind learns a certain pliancy. Even the small life of insects and moss becomes instructive in its persistence and appropriate response. The habit of observing without immediate judgment trains attention to be patient and receptive, a quality that carries into daily conduct. The body is considered a companion to the mind, not an enemy to be dominated. care of the body is gentle, focused on ease rather than force. Movement is practiced as a flowing exchange between weight and release. Rest is honored as much as action. The breath becomes a subtle metronome of presence, an unspoken rhythm that links inner states to the world. By keeping the body in a state of relaxed alertness, the mind finds a stable base. This balance supports a life of steady attention, allowing action to arise from a grounded place rather than from agitation. Attention itself is a craft, practiced like the tuning of a string instrument. It is trained to rest on the immediate without capturing it. This quality of attention is generous and discriminating at once. It recognizes what is relevant and lets go of the rest. Over time, the practitioner becomes more adept at sensing the boundary between necessary involvement and over-attachment. The mind learns to move from clear perception to responsive action with ease. This refined attention makes small things clear and large things manageable, dissolving the sense of being overwhelmed by the world's complexity. There is a gentle ethics of speech and action embedded in the old thought. Words are chosen with care, keeping in mind their effects on others. Actions are considered in light of their long-term consequences. The intention behind speech and action matters as much as the form. Modesty and sincerity are preferred over grand claims. When speech is measured, it heals rather than wounds. When action is taken with restraint, it becomes a source of trust. Over time, modesty becomes a habit that shapes both personal life and communal relations, making space for others to flourish. The inner life is cultivated through small daily practices that build a steady presence. Sitting quietly, tending a plant, preparing a meal with attention. These are not trivial chores, but opportunities to practice. Each ordinary activity becomes a moment to cultivate calm and to refine perception. The repetition of simple acts creates a rhythm that stabilizes mind and heart. Over months and years, such practices gather into a pattern of living where the ordinary becomes sacred by virtue of the care and attention given to it. Dreams and imagination are seen as natural parts of mind's movement. They are neither to be chased nor dismissed, but observed with gentle curiosity. The inner images that arise reveal layers of feeling and thought that are often overlooked in waking life. By attending to dreams with calm interest, one can learn from the images that appear, understanding them as expressions of the heart's landscape. This practice deepens self-knowledge without forcing an interpretation. It is enough to notice and to hold the inner world with a soft and steady gaze. Learning is like the slow shaping of clay by steady hands. The teacher does not impose form, but helps reveal what is present. Good teaching is patient and responsive, guiding inquiry rather than delivering rigid answers. The learner is encouraged to ask gently and to reflect deeply. Over time, understanding grows not by accumulating facts, but by refining the capacity to see relationships and patterns. This style of learning values depth over speed, allowing insight to arise naturally from careful attention and repeated reflection. In facing loss and change, the mind is trained to accept rather than resist. Grief is honored and allowed its passage. The practice is to move through sorrow with steady presence, recognizing it as part of life's unfolding. By meeting loss without frantic avoidance, resilience grows. The heart learns to hold memory and absence together without being consumed. That calm presence does not erase pain, but transforms how it is carried. Over time, sorrow becomes part of a wider landscape in which joy and quiet contentment can still be found. Silence is recognized as a living quality that shapes thought. Silence is not mere absence of speech, but a field in which awareness deepens. In silence, subtlety is revealed, and the need for hurried explanation diminishes. Conversations held from a place of quietness tend to be more honest and more listening. The natural stillness at the center of experience provides a ground from which compassionate and wise responses can arise. Cultivating silence is an ongoing practice of making room for deeper understanding. Mindfulness is described as the gentle habit of keeping attention in the present moment. It is practiced through small returns, a soft reorientation when distraction occurs. This practice is forgiving, not punitive. The focus is on the next return, the next breath, the next moment of noticing. Such patient repetition gradually increases clarity and steadiness. Mindfulness in daily life allows a person to meet events with composure rather than reactivity. In this way, ordinary moments become opportunities for quiet cultivation. The cosmos is often pictured as an unfolding pattern that includes both human life and natural processes. Human actions are seen as part of a larger tapestry, neither central nor negligible. Each gesture resonates outward, like a pebble dropped in still water. Knowing this invites humility and care. Actions are chosen with an awareness of how they participate in wider flows. This sense of belonging to a larger whole helps moderate extremes, encouraging moderation and respect for the balance that sustains life. Art and poetry are gentle companions to philosophy. Metaphor and story convey subtle truths in ways that direct argument cannot. A poem can touch a place in the heart that reasoning alone leaves untouched. Stories of simple figures and everyday scenes invite reflection without insisting on rigid conclusions. Artistic expression nurtures the imagination, allowing visions of life that are supple and humane. In listening to such stories, the mind learns that truth often comes wearing many faces, each offering a different angle of clarity. In dealing with complexity, one learns to prefer clear simplicity. Complex problems are approached by identifying what is essential and letting non-essentials fall away. This economy of attention helps reduce confusion and fatigue. The practice is not to oversimplify, but to find the kernel around which insight can form. This steadying of focus allows for calm decisions. Over time, the ability to discern essentials from noise becomes a practical skill that supports both private life and social responsibility. The notion of transformations is treated as ordinary. Things shift constantly, slowly, and sometimes suddenly. The mind that understands transformation recognizes the impermanence of forms and learns to relate with less clinging. This perspective brings a softness to attachment. Rather than resisting change, one learns to move with it, finding new paths and new ways of being. This flexibility is not instability, but a rootedness that allows for appropriate adaptation as circumstances evolve. Humility is cultivated by attending to limits. Knowing what one does not know is as important as recognizing skill. Humility protects against the arrogance that harms others and oneself. It invites collaboration and learning. Those who hold humility as a practice are open to correction and to new perspectives. This openness creates spaces where collective wisdom can grow. Humility, when practiced gently, becomes a source of strength and clarity in both personal life and communal interaction. The practice of discernment is refined by listening to subtle signals, small tensions in the body, slight shifts in mood, faint patterns in social exchange. All become information. Discerning minds cultivate a habit of noticing these signs and responding with moderation. Over time, the capacity to sense what is appropriate grows. Discernment is not a hurried judgment, but a calm weighing, a kind of inner measure that helps align action with circumstances. Such measured responsiveness supports a steadier life. Friendship and community are nurtured by regular presence, small gatherings, shared meals, and predictable acts of care form the basis of lasting bonds. These practices are humble and ordinary, yet they accumulate into a strong social fabric. The patience and steadiness required to sustain community mirror the inner cultivation. By showing up, by listening, by doing small, reliable things, trust is deepened. Community becomes a place where individual practice is supported and where collective well-being is attended with care. Silence between words becomes a meaningful part of communication. Pauses allow thoughts to settle and give space for others to respond. In conversations held slowly, each person's contribution can be heard more fully. This style of exchange is less about winning arguments and more about mutual understanding. When speech is interspersed with attentive silence, the flow of interaction becomes more fluid and humane. The value of silence is not emptiness, but a fertile ground for clearer and kinder speech. The rhythm of daily life is shaped by recognition of natural limits. Work and rest are balanced so that neither consumes wholly. Overextending is seen as counterproductive, a source of wear. By honoring limits, energy is preserved and attention kept steady. The humility to stop and to rest becomes a strategic wisdom. In this balance, productivity is sustained and generosity remains possible. Living with recognition of limits fosters a resilient pace that supports long-term care of self and others. Children and elders are held as living reminders of continuity. The young bring fresh perspective, while the old offer steady experience. Both are valued without exploiting either. A culture that respects different stages of life tends to cultivate a deep patience, knowing that growth happens across time. Teaching and learning circulate between generations in a gentle interchange. This reciprocal care maintains the continuity of practices that support a calm communal life. The mind's tendency to grasp is softened by practice. Grasping narrows perception and binds the heart. By loosening the grip on desires and fixed outcomes, one finds more room to move. The habit of letting go is not an abdication, but a release that allows wiser choices. As attachment relaxes, compassion increases, and options appear that were previously hidden. The world becomes less a series of demands and more a field of possibilities to be met with thoughtfulness. Finally, simplicity of purpose helps steady the path. A life oriented toward cultivating presence and care does not require elaborate theory. It returns to the basic tasks of attention, kindness, and restraint. These repeated choices shape character and community alike. Over time, the quiet habit of living with intention creates a luminous, ordinary life, a steady pattern of small acts that together form a gentle, enduring way of being.